Chapter 259. Humph! Aren't you afraid of biting off your tongue? As soon as Ning finished his words, a cold snort entered his ears. When Yi took a step forward and said coldly, "The puppet general's cultivation is only at the Xiantian full realm. Among the remaining 20 Xiantian realm martial artists, there are few who are ranked in the top 200 of the Xiantian realm. It won't be difficult for them to defeat the puppet general." Glancing at Wen Yi, Ningyu said indifferently, "The puppet general's true strength should be around the late stage of the true martial realm. Moreover, it is very resistant to attacks, and its speed is comparable to the late stage of the true martial realm. Even the top 100 martial artists on the Xiantian realm might not all be able to defeat the puppet general." "You have a good eye." Hearing Ningyu's words, Fang Yuanzi couldn't help but nod. In the past, the puppet general was made according to the martial artists ranked 100th on the Xiantian realm. Every time, there were a few martial artists who could defeat the puppet general. This year was different. As the martial artists who passed the assessment had to be specially trained, the Sacred Institute was no longer careless. The standard for the puppet general was raised to the 50th on the Xiantian realm. In other words, the puppet general's strength was equivalent to the martial artists ranked 50th on the Xiantian realm. Unless the martial artists ranked 100th on the Xiantian realm had a heaven-defying encounter and their strength improved by leaps and bounds, it would be harder than ascending to heaven to defeat the puppet general. "Ningyu, what if I say there are more than 3 martial artists who can defeat the puppet general?" When Yi was very unhappy with Ningyu's indifferent tone and said gloomily, "What does it have to do with me how many martial artists can defeat the puppet general?" Shrugging, Ningyu maintained the same expression and said casually, "Besides, I'm not talking to you. Why are you interrupting?" "You." Wen Yi's eyes turned cold and he was on the verge of exploding. But thinking of Ningyu's powerful strength and his soul force that had yet to recover, Wen Yi took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. After a short moment, Wen Yi's eyes spun, and he said to Ningyu, "Why don't we make a bet?" "Not interested," Ningyu said lightly. 1 million supreme-grade origin crystals. We'll bet 1 million top-grade essence crystals. Ignoring Ningyu's denial, Wen Yi said solemnly, "If only one martial artist can defeat the puppet battle general, I'll give you 1 million pieces of top-grade essence crystals. If there are 2 or more martial artists who can defeat the puppet battle general, you give me 1 million pieces of top-grade essence crystals." With a thought, Ningyu said without batting an eyelid, 1 million top-grade origin crystals. Are you trying to dismiss a beggar?" Seeing Ningyu's expression, Wen Yi's heart thumped. He had a feeling that Ningyu was plotting against him. However, when he remembered that he was the one who initiated the bet, his worries were greatly reduced. Whoosh! Flicking his sleeves, a storage bag appeared in his hand. When he said in a solemn voice, "Inside is all of my assets on me. 3 million pieces of supreme-grade essence crystals. I also have 2 million pieces of supreme-grade essence crystals." When Pai also took out the storage bag that he carried on him and said, "Us 2 brothers, adding it together, it's a total of 5 million pieces of high-grade essence crystals. Can you afford this wager?" 5 million pieces of supreme-grade essence crystals. It's doable. Nodding his head, Ningyu said, "Since someone wants to give me essence crystals, I have no reason not to accept either. This wager, I'll accept it." "Hoo-hoo, you accept it? Take out 5 million pieces of high-grade essence crystals for us 2 brothers to see first before talking." When Pai said with a cold smile, "Whoosh!" Sikong Ling knew that the top-grade essence crystals on Ningyu were not many. He immediately fished out a storage bag and said to Ningyu, "There are 3 million pieces of top-grade essence crystals inside. Count me in." Glancing at Sikong Ling, Ningyu received the storage bag and said, "Thanks." "Nothing. I'm just joining the gang." Sikong Ling smiled and said, "If we win in the end, you have to split the top-grade essence crystals with me according to the ratio. No problem. I guarantee that I won't disappoint you. Ning Yu gave Sikong Ling a reassuring look. Originally, Ning Yu had 3 million pieces of supreme-grade essence crystals. Now, adding in the 3 million that Sikong Ling gave him, there was a total of 6 million pieces of supreme-grade essence crystals. Wen Yi and Wen Pai only took out 5 million pieces of supreme-grade essence crystals. This wager, not only could Ning Yu accept it, but he also had 1 million more supreme-grade essence crystals. Hoo-hoo, a small wager is pleasing. I'll also bet 1 million pieces of supreme-grade essence crystals. Right at this time, Yang Yuan smiled, fished out a storage bag, and said, I also feel that there will be 2 or more martial artists who can defeat the puppet battle general. Ning Yu was slightly stunned. Looking at Yang Yuan, he frowned and said, May I know how to address you? Someone wanted to give supreme-grade essence crystals. Ning Yu would not refuse. However, Ning Yu also wanted to know who was giving him essence crystals for free. He could not take someone else's supreme-grade essence crystals and not even know their name. Yang Yuan said with a faint smile. Yang Yuan. Ning Yu's brows knitted tightly. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as he said, You're from the imperial family. If I didn't guess wrongly, you should be a prince? How do you know that I'm a prince? Yang Yuan was a little surprised. In the capital, he rarely showed his face. There were people who knew his true identity, but they could be counted on one's fingers. Usually, he lived in the imperial palace and rarely left. He was indeed very surprised that Ning Yu could know his identity. However, what Ning Yu said next made him have an urge to vomit blood. Ning Yu shrugged and said, I guessed. All right. Slightly stunned, Yang Yuan immediately said, Is 1 million supreme-grade essence crystals okay? Of course, you're very welcome. I'll welcome it with both hands raised, Ning Yu said nonchalantly. Pa! Suddenly, a muffled sound rang out on the stage. The perfect Xiantian practitioner who had just made a move was struck in the chest by the puppet battle general and sent flying. This situation caused Ning Yu to nod his head in satisfaction. Soon after, he said to Wen Yi, I don't really trust you guys. What if you go back on your words after I win 5 million high-grade essence crystals? You dare say that we're going back on our words. Wen Yi's eyes turned cold as he said in a low voice, Why don't you ask around? When have we ever gone back on our words? Shaking his head, Ning Yu said, It's hard to say. If it wasn't for the pressure on the streets, you guys would definitely have gone back on your words. His eyes swiveled as Ning Yu continued, I don't trust you guys, and you guys definitely don't trust me either. How about this? We'll place the supreme-grade essence crystals on the stage. The winner will take the supreme-grade essence crystals when the result is out. Swish! As he spoke, Ning Yu's figure flashed, and he placed the 2 storage bags in his hands on the stage, not far away from him. Each of the 2 storage bags contained 3 million supreme-grade essence crystals, for a total of 6 million. Humph! Do you think I'm afraid of you? With a cold snort, Wen Yi's figure flashed, and he also threw the 2 storage bags on the ground, but there was some distance between them and Ning Yu's. Chapter 260. Seeing Yang Yuan's action, Ning Yu's mouth couldn't help but twitch a few times. As expected of a prince, he didn't take 1 million supreme-grade yuan crystals seriously. In Yang Yuan's eyes, 1 million supreme-grade yuan crystals was not much different from 1 million high-grade yuan crystals in his eyes. Bang! Just at this moment, another crisp sound rang out nearby. A late-stage Xiantian practitioner had been sent flying by the puppet general, falling off the stage. Up until now, in just a few minutes, 3 warriors had already been defeated at the hands of the puppet warrior. Swoosh! The 4th martial artist was a Xiantian perfected realm martial artist with vigorous yuan qi. This martial artist was called Gu Qi, ranked 102nd on the Xiantian realm battle list. In the eyes of the crowd, he was the martial artist with the highest chance of defeating the puppet general. However, Ningyu didn't think highly of Guqi. Although Guqi was ranked 102nd on the Xiantian realm battle list, Ningyu knew that he would definitely be defeated by the puppet general. There was only one martial artist that Ningyu thought highly of, and that was the son of the Ivory City lord. He was also a martial artist that he knew, Yang Yu. In the previous Xiantian realm battle list, Yang Yu was ranked 101st. This time, his ranking not only didn't increase, but dropped to 150th. Although Yang Yu's ranking was low, Ningyu could sense an unusual aura from him. In other words, Yang Yu's strength had improved qualitatively. He's Dan Yu. Yang Yu frowned and said in a deep voice. Previously, Yang Yu had suspected that Ningyu was Dan Yu. After all, Ningyu didn't come out after entering the ivory tower. With Ningyu's strength back then, it was impossible for him to be trapped in the ivory tower. All the signs pointed to Ningyu being Dan Yu. At this juncture, it wasn't appropriate for Yang Yu to acknowledge Ningyu. Otherwise, some people would definitely guess Ningyu's true identity. I can only wait until I enter the Sacred Institute to find a chance to meet Ningyu. Yang Yu took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. He wasn't worried about the battle puppet generals. If he didn't choose to endure it, he would at least be in the top 20 on this year's innate warrior ranking. Guqi is ranked 102nd on the innate realm ranking. She will definitely be able to defeat the puppet general. Seeing Guqi's attack, Wen Yi's lips curled up and he laughed sinisterly. Big brother, don't be anxious. This is only the first martial artist to defeat a puppet battle general. There will be more to come, Wen Pai said calmly, looking very confident. Sigh, some people are really ignorant. Ningyu shrugged his shoulders and said to Xikongling, participating in the Sacred Institute's recruitment this time was not a loss at all. Each of us earned 3 million top-grade origin crystals. Isn't that so? Someone insisted on giving us top-grade essence crystals. How can we not accept it? Xikongling's expression was somewhat exaggerated as he said to Wen Yi. Humph, you'll all be crying later. Snorting coldly, Wen Yi said, Guqi is very strong. Defeating the puppet general is not a big deal. What? However, before Wen Yi could finish his sentence, his expression changed drastically. Not far away, the puppet general found a flaw in Guqi's defense and suddenly attacked, landing a punch on Guqi's shoulder. The huge force that came from his shoulder caused Guqi's expression to change drastically. His body was flung several feet away. Although he didn't fall off the stage, he had basically lost his ability to fight. Brother Xikong, Guqi is indeed very strong. To be able to last so long against the puppet general, he's not simple. Ningyu's expression was a little exaggerated as he said in surprise. Brother Ningyu, I'm a little worried now. Xikongling's expression was solemn as he said, even Guqi, ranked 101st on the innate warrior ranking, couldn't defeat the puppet general. Is there anyone else who can defeat the puppet general? Waving his hand, Ningyu said, You don't have to worry about this. I know what I'm doing. There's definitely a martial artist who can defeat the puppet general. Wen Yi and Wen Pai's faces were ashen, almost without any color. Ningyu and Xikongling's echoing of each other was obviously for them to hear. It was just that before their soul power recovered to its peak, they didn't dare to fight with Ningyu again. Otherwise, with their tempers, they would definitely spar with Ningyu again. Bang, bang, bang. Among the few martial artists who fought with the puppet general, none of them could last for more than a minute. All of them were defeated in less than a minute. As more and more Xiantian realm martial artists were defeated, Wen Yi's expression became uglier. Swoosh! When there were less than 5 Xiantian realm martial artists left, Yang Yu's figure flashed and landed in front of the puppet general. This martial artist should be able to defeat the puppet general, Ning Yu said lightly. Yang Yu, ranked 150th on the innate warrior ranking. If he can defeat the puppet general, I'll write my name upside down. Wen Yi didn't think highly of Yang Yu. No matter how he looked at it, Yang Yu wasn't as strong as Guqi. According to Wen Yi's speculation, Yang Yu being able to last for a minute in the hands of the puppet general was already heaven-defying. Wen Yi, since you're so confident, why don't we make a bet? With a thought, Ning Yu said calmly, if Yang Yu can defeat the puppet general, your 5 million pieces of supreme grade yuan crystals will belong to me. If Yang Yu loses to the puppet general, my 5 million pieces of supreme grade yuan crystals will belong to you. Swoosh! Ning Yu's words caused Wen Yi's expression to change slightly. In fact, in Wen Yi's heart, he really wanted to make this bet with Ning Yu. After all, there were only 4 martial artists left, including Yang Yu. In other words, if Yang Yu lost, 2 of the remaining 3 martial artists had to defeat the puppet general. Only then would he win the bet with Ning Yu. Although he was very confident at this moment, his strong confidence had weakened a lot. Let's bet. Who's afraid of who? Gritting his teeth, Wen Yi said in a deep voice, we'll do as you said. As long as Yang Yu can defeat the puppet general, my 5 million pieces of supreme grade yuan crystals will belong to you. If not, your supreme grade yuan crystals will belong to me. That won't do. Ning Yu shook his head. Why? Are you going back on your words? Wen Yi said coldly, it's not that I'm going back on my words. I have 6 million pieces of supreme grade yuan crystals. Even if you win, I can only give you 5 million pieces of supreme grade yuan crystals. Ning Yu said lightly, 5 million it is. Who's afraid of who? Wen Yi shouted in a deep voice. Ignoring Wen Yi, Ning Yu turned around and said to Ouyang Yuan, my bet with Wen Yi has changed. I wonder if you... Before Ning Yu could finish his words, Ouyang Yuan said with a smile, I also bet on Yang Yu's defeat. Haha, that's easy. 6 million pieces of supreme grade yuan crystals. It's easy to distribute regardless of victory or defeat, Ning Yu said with a smile. Ning Yu, I have to say that you're very confident. A few days ago, Yang Yu and Guqi fought, and Yang Yu was defeated by Guqi. With an evil smile, Wen Yi said coldly, even Guqi is not a match for the puppet general. From this, it can be seen that Yang Yu will definitely lose miserably. Is that so? Curling his lips, Ning Yu said lightly, let's see the situation on the battlefield first. Chapter 261. Bang! On the battlefield, Yang Yu leaped up and clenched his right hand into a fist. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he ruthlessly punched the puppet general's chest. Yang Yu's punch contained an extremely strong fluctuation of yuan qi. Judging from its power alone, it was infinitely close to a peak late-stage true martial realm martial artist. The puppet general's strength was only equivalent to a late-stage true martial realm martial artist. The power of Yang Yu's punch was naturally too much for the puppet general to handle. Swoosh! After being punched in the chest, the puppet general's body was pushed back several feet to the edge of the fighting ring. Yang Yu is so strong. Wen Yi's face was extremely gloomy, and he was about to go berserk. Originally, he thought that he would definitely win this bet. Now, it seemed that he would most likely lose. Yang Yu was also a guy who pretended to be weak. The strength he displayed could at least enter the top 50 or even the top 30 on the innate combat ranking. Yet, such a martial artist was only ranked 150th on the innate warriors battle ranking this time. Was the person who published the innate combat ranking an idiot? Ning Yu, do you know Yang Yu? Seeing that Ning Yu's judgment was so accurate, Sikong Ling frowned and asked. Nodding, Ning Yu did not deny it. We've met a few times before. That's right. Sikong Ling let out a long breath. If Ning Yu did not know Yang Yu. It would be too terrifying for him to be able to judge Yang Yu's true strength from the surface. Since Ning Yu knew Yang Yu, he instantly understood. Ning Yu must have known Yang Yu's strength, which was why he dared to bet with Wen Yi here. Puchi, hearing Ning Yu's words. Wen Yi vomited a mouthful of blood. Ning Yu knew Yang Yu? Now, Wen Yi even suspected that Ning Yu had colluded with Yang Yu to set him up. However, without concrete evidence, Wen Yi could do nothing but hope that Yang Yu would be defeated by the puppet general. However, what happened next completely shattered the little bit of anticipation in Wen Yi's heart. Yang Yu's expression changed. Like a whirlwind, he came to the puppet general in the blink of an eye. He raised his right leg and kicked at the puppet general's legs with a violent gale of yuan qi. Ka-cha! After being kicked in the legs by Yang Yu, the puppet general's body sank and it knelt on the stage. Voila! The sudden change caused the crowd in the square to burst into an uproar. All of this was beyond their expectations. The puppet general didn't lose to Ge Qi, but to Yang Yu, who was ranked 150th on the innate battle list. Who is Yang Yu? Why is he so strong? You don't even know Yang Yu? Listen up. Yang Yu is the son of the governor of Ivory City. So that's how it is. No wonder Yang Yu is so powerful that he can even defeat a puppet warrior. Hee, look at Wen Yi and Wen Pai's faces. It's as if they just ate shit. If it were me, I'd feel terrible too. I've lost 3 million supreme grade raw crystals in one go. I'm sure I'd be heartbroken. Ning Yu is going to be the biggest winner. Ka-cha! At this moment, Wen Yi stood on the same spot, his fists cracking. His face was as ugly as if he had eaten shit, just like what the crowd said. Yang Yu, you can join the Sacred Institute's enrollment after defeating the puppet general, Fang Yuanzi said in a low voice as he looked at Yang Yu. Swoosh! As soon as Fang Yuanzi's voice fell, Ning Yu's figure dashed out at top speed. Ning Yu's action stunned Wen Yi. He didn't know what Ning Yu was doing. However, when he realized what Ning Yu was going to do, his face suddenly darkened. This was because Ning Yu swept across the ground and grabbed the storage bag in the blink of an eye, casually handing Xikongling a storage bag filled with 3 million supreme grade raw crystals. Ning Yu said with a smile, Brother Xikong, this is the 3 million supreme grade raw crystals you won. Hee, it would be impolite of me to refuse. Laughing loudly, Xikongling first shook the storage bag in his hand, then put it in his bosom. Good, very good. Ning Yu, you win. At this time, Wen Yi calmed down instead. His face was devoid of joy or sorrow. Seeing Wen Yi's state, Ning Yu's face also became solemn. Generally speaking, there were 2 outcomes for people who failed consecutively. First, they would become dispirited and unable to recover. Second, they would become even more terrifying after breaking through. Judging from Wen Yi's performance, he belonged to the second. Although on the surface, he looked down on Wen Yi and made things difficult for Wen Yi. Ning Yu knew that Wen Yi's strength was not weak. Moreover, Ning Yu didn't believe that Wen Yi, who had such a high status in the Snow Domain Pavilion, would not have a trump card. Once Wen Yi displayed his trump card, who would win and who would lose was still unknown. Ning Yu, just as Ning Yu was deep in thought, Yang Yuan came to his side and said, I, Yang Yuan, like to make friends. I wonder if I can do you the honor of visiting the Heaven Yuan Tower? Heaven Yuan Tower. Hearing Yang Yuan's words, Xikongling and Xiao Yu's hearts turned cold, and they secretly raised their vigilance. Although the Heaven Yuan Tower was just an ordinary restaurant, as people of the capital's upper class, Xikongling and Xiao Yu were very clear that the Heaven Yuan Tower was not simple. In the capital, there are 3 great restaurants. The Heaven Yuan Tower belonged to the 6th prince, Yangming. The Heaven Sea Tower belonged to the eldest prince, Yangming. The Heaven Sea Tower belonged to the 3rd prince, Yanghai. The eldest prince, the 3rd prince, and the 6th prince were also the most favorable contenders for the crown prince's position. Once one accepted the invitation to enter the restaurants they controlled, it meant that one was bound together with them. One's glory, one's loss, one's loss. Historically, there were only two possibilities for those who participated in the struggle for the throne. If they won, glory, splendor, wealth. If they lost, corpses would litter the ground. Ning Yu did not know about the situation in the imperial family, but when he saw Si Kongling and Xiao Yu shake their heads slightly, he knew what to do. Prince O Yangming, let's wait until the end of the Sacred Institute's recruitment. Ning Yu said indifferently, not agreeing or rejecting. No problem. Let's wait until the end of the recruitment. O Yang Yuan did not care about Ning Yu's reaction and said with a smile, bang, bang, bang. At this moment, 3 consecutive muffled sounds rang out. The remaining 3 Xiantian stage martial artists had all been defeated by the puppet warrior. Only Yang Yu had defeated the puppet warrior out of over 20 martial artists. This was something no one had expected. Of course, apart from the freak Ning Yu. Since this segment has ended, I now announce that the Sacred Institute's recruitment has officially begun. Waving his hand, Fang Yuanzi signaled an elder to move the puppet warrior away, and then said in a clear voice, "The first segment of the Sacred Institute's recruitment is to test the degree of vitality." As Fang Yuanzi's voice fell, 2 elders lifted a huge stone tablet and slowly walked onto the stage. Dong! The cultivation of these 2 elders were in the late stage of true martial realm. From the beads of sweat on their foreheads, it could be seen that this stone tablet was very heavy, very heavy. Chapter 262. The tablet was about the height of 3 people, and it was clearly divided into 7 sections. At the top of the tablet, there was a round white crystal ball. It was neither small nor big. No wonder the tablet is so heavy, it's made from dissolving stone. Ning Yu murmured. Dissolving stone was commonly found in deep-sea caves and was extremely heavy. Dissolving stone had a special function, and that was to be extremely durable. More accurately, it could withstand a very strong Yuan Qi attack. Moreover, if the Yuan Qi was not too strong, not even a mark would be left on the dissolving stone. This round is very simple. Attack with all your strength and try to leave a mark on the tablet. Fang Yuanzi pointed at the huge tablet and said, Xiantian realm martial artists need to leave a mark in the 3rd section, and true martial realm martial artists need to leave a mark in the 6th section. I'll go first. Just as Fang Yuanzi finished speaking, a martial artist ranked 78th on the Xiantian realm ranking took a step forward. Yuan Qi swirled in his hand as he rose from the ground and attacked the 3rd section. Bang! However, the moment this martial artist's palm touched the tablet, his body was like a kite with a broken string. He was sent flying far away and directly fell off the fighting stage. Swoosh! This change caused the remaining Xiantian realm martial artist's expressions to change drastically. Rebound! The tablet actually had the ability to rebound. When Yuan Qi attacked it, it had to withstand the rebound of the same amount of Yuan Qi. Otherwise, it would be impossible to leave a mark on the tablet. Fail! Next. Fang Yuanzi's indifferent voice sounded. With the previous example, the 2nd Xiantian realm martial artist played a trick and did not use his full strength. However, this martial artist's trick did not have any effect because he did not leave a mark in the 3rd section. Fail next. Fang Yuanzi said. The remaining martial artists did not dare to play any tricks, but used all their Yuan Qi to attack the tablet. Originally, they thought that this round was relatively easy. Now it seemed that they were all wrong. They were all deceived by Fang Yuanzi. This round not only tested the strength of the Yuan Qi, but also the martial artist's strength. There weren't many people who could block his all-out attack. Ning Yu, what do you think of this round? Si Kongling asked with a frown when the Xiantian stage martial artists participated in the assessment. What do I think? With my eyes, of course. Ning Yu shrugged. Si Kongling was speechless and said, I mean, which area do you plan to leave a mark on? Ningyu was a little puzzled and asked, Isn't it in the 6th area? Is it going to be in the 7th region? No one knew what the next trial would be. Being able to save some yuan qi in the first trial was naturally a good thing. If the second round also required essence qi, then wouldn't it be a huge loss if this round consumed too much essence qi? Looking around, Sikong Ling said in a low voice, If possible, it would be best to leave a mark in the 7th region, because only then would it be possible to activate the crystal ball at the top. What do you mean? Ningyu was stunned and frowned. I don't know. It seems to be related to the status after entering the sacred institute. Sikong Ling continued. When I came here, someone told me that if there is a stone tablet test, I should leave a mark on the top. It would be best if I could touch the crystal ball. Let's not participate in the test too early. Let's wait. Sikong Ling didn't know whether it was true or not. After all, he and Ningyu had the same idea. Once too much yuan qi was consumed in this round, it would be disadvantageous for the next round. Therefore, he decided to wait and see what the other true realm martial artists would do. If they all left a mark on the 7th floor, then he also had to leave a mark on the 7th floor. If they all left a mark on the 6th floor, then there was no need for him to leave a mark on the 7th floor. Status in the Sacred Institute was obtained by strength. As long as one had strength, even if they only left a mark on the 6th floor, they would definitely be able to occupy a place in the Sacred Institute. Ningyu, I have a question for you. At this moment, Xiaoyu said in a deep voice, Do you like Xiaolan or not? Xiaoyu's words made Ningyu a little dumbfounded. This question made it very difficult for him to answer. This and that. Ningyu also didn't know how to answer. He had some feelings for Xiao Yunlan, but in his heart his feelings for Lu Wei were even deeper. After all, he had spent more time with Lu Wei than with Xiao Yunlan. Seeing Ningyu's reaction, Xiaoyu coldly said, I don't care so much. If you dare to do anything to betray Xiaolan, I will be the first to castrate you. Hiss! Ningyu couldn't help but suck in a mouthful of cold air. Wasn't Xiaoyu a little too overbearing? Indiscriminately wanting to castrate him. She was really unreasonable. Encountering this kind of woman, Ningyu knew that whatever he said would be wrong. There was no reason to speak of. Taking advantage of the fact that the Xiantian realm martial artists had not finished their assessment, Ningyu secretly circulated the transformation spiritual art and began to absorb the essence qi in the air. In the fight with Wen Yi and the others, Ningyu had consumed some essence qi. It was just the right time to take advantage of this opportunity to recover. Bang! 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 The stone steel was indeed worthy of being made from 10,000 years old melted stone. The following Xiantian realm martial artists were constantly blasted off the stage by their own essence qi. In the blink of an eye, 51 martial artists participated in the assessment, but only 20 left marks in the 3rd area. Swish! 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 In the next moment, the remaining 50 martial artists rushed to the stone steel one after another. Half an hour passed, and the remaining 50 martial artists had all completed the assessment. Compared to the first 51 martial artists, the last 50 martial artists were much better. There were 30 who passed the assessment. In total, there were a total of 50 martial artists who passed the first round of assessment. Yan Hui actually passed the assessment too. Looking at the 50 martial artists who passed the assessment, Ningyu was slightly surprised, because among the 50 martial artists he found Yan Hui. On the latest edition of the Xiantian battle ranking, Yan Hui was still ranked 99th. He was able to pass the assessment because he had some tricks up his sleeve. Next, the true martial realm martial artists will take part in the assessment. Fang Yuanzi was quite satisfied with the number of 50 martial artists who passed the assessment. In the previous stone steel assessment, out of 108 martial artists, only 40 passed. This time, out of 101 martial artists, 50 passed, which meant that the overall quality was higher than the previous one. Now, I am looking forward to see if any true martial artist can leave a mark in the 7th area and trigger the crystal ball at the top. Chapter 263. There were a total of 32 true martial artists. Hearing Fang Yuanzi's words, everyone stood still. No one stepped forward to take the test. Compared to the innate realm martial artists, the true realm martial artists were much smarter. They had the same idea as Ningyu. They did not want to be the first to take the test. It was quite a fight just now. Why are you all so quiet now? Seeing that the true realm martial artists did not respond, Fang Yuanzi's face darkened. He snorted, Wen Pai, Zhang Zhaozhong, Xiaoyu, Ningyu. The 5 of you go first. You must leave a mark on the 7th zone. Otherwise, you will fail. Wen Pai. Fang Yuanzi's words caused Wen Yi to be dumbfounded. After a short while, Wen Yi took a step forward and stood in front of the stone tablet. Buzz! Yuanqi gushed out from his sea of consciousness and gathered on his right palm. Wen Yi immediately rose from the ground and slammed his right palm towards the 7th zone. Chi. The Yuanqi on Wen Yi's palm was vigorous. When his palm touched the stone tablet, it made a sizzling sound. After the sound, the same strong, rebounding Yuanqi blasted towards Wen Yi. Block it. Wen Yi's eyes turned cold. He raised his left hand and collided with the strong, rebounding Yuanqi. When the two collided, the Yuanqi completely disappeared. On the other hand, a 5-fingered palm print appeared on the 7th zone of the stone tablet. The 5-fingered palm print lasted for a full 10 seconds before disappearing. Wen Yi passed. Seeing that the 5-fingered palm print only lasted for 10 seconds, Fang Yuanzi's face showed some disappointment. Swoosh! In the next moment, Wen Pai rose from the ground and slammed his right hand towards the stone tablet. Like Wen Yi, Wen Pai also left a 5-fingered palm print on the stone tablet. The 5-fingered palm print lasted for 10 seconds before disappearing as well. Wen Pai pass, Fang Yuanzi said calmly. Next, Zhang Zhaozhong and Xiaoyu both left a 5-fingered palm print on the 7th zone of the stone tablet. However, Zhang Zhaozhong's 5-fingered palm print lasted for 5 seconds, while Xiaoyu's 5-fingered palm print lasted for 8 seconds. Next, Ningyu. The performance of the first 4 martial artists made the disappointment on Fang Yuanzi's face even more obvious. Xiao! With a thought, Ningyu leaped into the air and flew toward the stone tablet. Pa! With a muffled sound, Ningyu immediately retreated. Voila! Just as Ningyu was retreating, a powerful rebound of vital energy struck out, but it didn't hit Ningyu. Damn it! Fang Yuanzi cursed under his breath. He raised his palm and created gusts of wind, blocking Ningyu's rebounding primordial qi. Ningyu, what the hell are you doing? Fang Yuanzi said coldly after blocking the rebounding vital energy. You only said that you want to leave a mark on the 7th level, but you didn't say that you want to block the reflected Yuan Qi, right? Ningyu was a little helpless as he asked, as he did not know how much vitality he would need. Ningyu used all the vitality in the virtual golden core, planning to leave a mark on the 7th level of the stone tablet. He did leave a mark. A 5-fingered palm print appeared on the 7th level of the stone tablet. However, Ningyu did not want to take the powerful rebound of vital energy head-on. That was the vital energy of one virtual golden core. Even if he could take it, he would have to consume the vital energy of the other virtual golden core. Ningyu was not stupid. If he used up all the vital energy in the 2 virtual golden cores, then there would be no point in taking the next level. He might as well just give up. Hearing Ningyu's words, Fang Yuanzi's face turned ashen. He did not say that he wanted to block the reflected vital energy, so he could only give up. The rest of the martial artists hurry up. All of you must leave a mark on the 7th level. Otherwise, get lost. Fang Yuanzi was very angry. The consequences would be severe. This time, after Fang Yuanzi's voice fell, no martial artist stepped forward. Everyone stood in place, not moving. Are you all rebelling? Those who don't want to take the test can get lost now. The Sacred Institute is a small place. It can't accommodate you big Buddhas. Voila! Fang Yuanzi's aura exploded, and a strong pressure pressed down on the true martial realm martial artists on the fighting stage. These true martial realm martial artists were very strong. Even some of the seniors of the Sacred Institute might not be able to suppress them. If he did not teach them a lesson now, wouldn't they turn the world upside down when they entered the Sacred Institute? Dean Feng, just as Fang Yuanzi released his primal core aura, Ouyang Yuan stepped forward and said hesitantly, "It's not that we don't want to take the test, but the palm print on the 7th level has not disappeared yet." Not disappeared yet? What palm print? What? You said that the palm print has not disappeared yet? Fang Yuanzi was about to reprimand him, but he seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly turned his gaze to the stone tablet. On the 7th level of the stone tablet, a huge 5-fingered palm print seemed to be engraved on it, emitting a dazzling light and not dissipating. This change directly caused Fang Yuanzi to stand on the spot, a little dumbfounded. From the beginning until now, 30 to 40 seconds had passed, right? Since the establishment of Danwu College, only 3 martial artists had left their palm print on the 7th level for more than a minute. If Ning Yu's palm print could last for another 20 seconds, he would become the 4th martial artist. 45 seconds. Ning Yu's palm print still remained on the 7th level. 55 seconds. The emotions of Ning Yu's palm print could be seen clearly. 60 seconds. Ning Yu's palm print had not disappeared yet. It's been 60 seconds. Dean Dongfang should have appeared by now, right? When Ning Yu's palm print had lasted for 60 seconds, Fang Yuanzi's gaze was fixed on the crystal ball at the top of the stone tablet. 3 seconds later, Fang Yuanzi frowned, a little puzzled. Logically speaking, as long as someone could leave their palm print on the 7th level for 60 seconds, the crystal ball at the top of the stone tablet should have changed. Why was there no reaction at all? Following that, Fang Yuanzi looked in the direction of the Sacred Institute. In the past, Dean Dongfang would have personally appeared at this time. So why was he not here this time? Could it be that Ning Yu had cheated to leave his palm print on the 7th level? Fang Yuanzi, get Ning Yu to attack the 7th level of the stone tablet with all his might. Just when Fang Yuanzi was feeling puzzled, he heard a soft voice. Fang Yuanzi was slightly stunned when he heard the voice. He then asked doubtfully, "Dean Dongfang, why is the crystal ball? The crystal ball has changed. It has turned green in a short period of time, and it's still changing." Before Fang Yuanzi could finish his sentence, Dean Dongfang's voice rang in his ears again. "What? Green?" Fang Yuanzi's expression changed. Including the initial white, the crystal ball had a total of 8 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. As long as someone's primordial qi could touch the crystal ball, it could change from the initial white to red, then to orange. The 3 martial artists who touched the crystal ball in the past could only make the crystal ball turn yellow at most. Chapter 264. Fang Yuanzi, what are you still standing there for? Now, immediately, let Ning Yu use all his strength to bombard the 7th level of the stone steel. I want to see if the crystal ball can turn into its final form, purple. President Dongfang's tone was a little anxious, and even carried a little unquestionable. According to President Dongfang's conjecture, Ning Yu's 5-fingered palm could at most stay on the 7th level of the stone steel for 30 seconds. In other words, Ning Yu had to bombard the 7th level of the stone steel with all his strength within 30 seconds to have a chance of turning the crystal ball purple. Once he missed this time, all his efforts would be in vain. Oh, right, try not to spread this matter. I don't want too many people to know about it. President Dong Fong reminded again. Hearing that, Fong Yuanzi instantly returned to his senses. To be able to attract the president's attention and make the crystal ball turn green, it could be seen that Ningyu was not a simple person. Considering the president's request, Fong Yuanzi shouted at Ningyu in a deep voice, "I'll give you a chance now. Bombard the 7th level of the stone steel with all your strength. If you dare to hold back in the slightest, then you will fail the test this time." Fong Yuanzi's sudden words caught Ningyu by surprise. Didn't he already pass? Why did Fong Yuanzi still want him to bombard the stone steel again? Could it be that his words earlier offended Fong Yuanzi? If that was really the case, then the dignified Sacred Institute's deputy president was too petty. What? Ning, you didn't use his full strength. That's impossible, right? Without using his full strength, how could he leave a 5-fingered palm print on the 7th level of the stone steel? Furthermore, that palm print hasn't disappeared yet. It's possible. Ningyu is a ruthless person. He still has the upper hand even when fighting 1 against 3. According to what you said, Ningyu definitely held back and didn't use his full strength. Fong Yuanzi's words caused a huge uproar in the Danwu Plaza. Originally, this matter had already been forgotten. Who would have thought that Fong Yuanzi would bring it up again and make Ningyu bombard the stone steel a second time? Moreover, from Fong Yuanzi's words, everyone could tell that Ningyu did not use his full strength. Ningyu, what are you waiting for? Seeing that Ningyu was a little dazed, Si Kongling came to Ningyu's side and said in a low voice, "This is an opportunity. If you can touch the crystal ball on the top floor, you might even attract the dean's attention. At that time, you can ask him to come out and save Lu Wei, and you'll have more confidence." All right. Ningyu's heart trembled, and he didn't care about anything else as he soared into the sky and charged towards the stone tablet. Buzz! At the same time, the primordial qi in his body surged out and wrapped around the surface of his palm. Hiss! Sensing the powerful vital energy gathered on Ningyu's wrist, the surrounding martial artists, including Fong Yuanzi, all gasped. The essence qi undulations on Ningyu's wrist, even some half-step origin core realm martial artists, could not compare to him. In addition to the vital energy released the first time, the density of the vital energy in Ningyu's body had already reached a terrifying level. The vital energy in this little bastard's body is actually so robust. When he clenched his fists tightly, his face livid. Ever since he met Ningyu, he was at a disadvantage in every confrontation. In the Cauldron Pavilion, he was cheated of many high-grade essence crystals by Ningyu. On the capital streets, he and Wenpai lost another 2 million pieces of supreme-grade essence crystals to Ningyu. Not long ago, he and Wenpai lost another 5 million pieces of supreme-grade essence crystals. 3 times in total, each time more miserable than the last. In fact, the following 2 exchanges, due to various reasons, he was defeated at the hands of Ningyu. Suffering such a crushing defeat in a short few days, this was what he never expected. After the Sacred Academy's recruitment ends this time, I'll immediately complete the marriage with Lu Wei. At that time, if Ningyu, that little bastard, dares to go, I'll definitely make it a one-way trip. Wen Yi's expression was grim to the extreme. In his heart, Ningyu was already a dead man. Nobody in this world could save Ningyu. No matter what, I must recruit Ningyu under my command. I mustn't let him join Big Brother and Third Brother. Seeing such powerful essence qi undulations around Ningyu's body, Ouyang Yuan was also somewhat visibly moved. He secretly made up his mind to recruit Ningyu at all costs. Smack! Just as everyone's imaginations were running wild in their hearts, a muffled sound pulled them back to reality. In front of the enormous stone steel, Ningyu's right hand smacked fiercely onto the stone steel's 7th level region. What? This time, the rebounding essence energy that made Ningyu somewhat palpitate did not appear. Instead, a tremendous suction force emitted from the stone steel's 7th level, sucking his right hand onto the stone steel. The sudden change made Ning Yu's expression change drastically. The tremendous suction force that erupted from the stone steel not only sucked his palm onto the stone steel's 7th level, it even sucked out the essence energy in his body. In order to prevent any unexpected situations, Ningyu did not use his full strength to bombard the stone steel. Instead, he quietly left a quarter of his essence energy in his body. Who would have thought that the stone steel seemed to have discovered the essence energy in his body? The horrifying suction force flowed into his body from his palm continuously, then entered his sea of consciousness. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, Ningyu hurriedly revolved the spirit transformation art, hoping to slightly stop the essence energy from flowing out of his body. But in front of this tremendous suction force, Ningyu felt somewhat helpless. No matter how hard he tried, the essence energy in his body seemed to not listen to his orders, pouring out in full force. Swoosh! What Ningyu did not know was that in a certain secret chamber in Danwu College, there were 3 old men gathered. Look, the crystal ball has turned cyan, and it's turning blue. Among the 3 old men, the dean of the Sacred Institute, Dongfang Ji, sat in the middle and pointed at the wall. On the wall, there was a huge crystal ball projection. The crystal ball projection was green, and it was slowly turning blue. Half of it had already turned blue. Old man Dongfang. As soon as Dongfang Ji finished speaking, an old man in black on his right said, "If you have something to say, just say it. There's no need to beat around the bush." "That's right, Dongfang Ji. If you have something to say, just say it. We're all listening." After the old man finished speaking, an old man in brown on Dongfang Ji's left said, "It's very simple. I want to fight for a core slot for Ningyu." Dongfang Ji said calmly, "What? Old man Dongfang, there are only a total of 3 core slots. What qualifications does Ningyu have to obtain it?" The old man in black's complexion changed. He stood up and said coldly, "What's more, there are only 2 core slots left. I don't agree with you giving them to Ningyu." Wei Zhe, if I remember correctly, Zhang Tianwen also secretly participated in the stone tablet assessment. Back then, when he was in the early stage of the true martial realm, he only managed to make the crystal ball turn green. Dongfang Ji said calmly, "Ningyu's cultivation is also in the early stage of the true martial realm, but he has already made the crystal ball turn green. Furthermore, it's turning blue. I believe it won't be long before the crystal ball completely turns blue." Chapter 265. You. Wei Zhe's face darkened when he heard Dongfang Ji's words. Dongfang Ji was right. Zhang Tianwen's cultivation was only at the early stage of the true martial realm, and his strength was not that strong. If he had not stood his ground, the core position would not have fallen into Zhang Tianwen's hands. Old man Dongfang, don't compare Ningyu to Zhang Tianwen. Can he beat Zhang Tianwen? Wei Zhe said coldly, "Besides, it's not wrong to give the core position to Zhang Tianwen. He is now in the top 3 of the Sacred Institute. Moreover, Zhang Tianwen is trying to break through to the peak of the true martial realm. Once he succeeds, he will be invincible in the Sacred Institute. Ningyu? He is just a martial artist at the early stage of the true martial realm. Even if you give him the core position, he will not be able to reach the peak of the true martial realm in 5 months. If he can't reach the peak of the true martial realm, even if he participates in the 100 Academy tournament, it will be no different from suicide." Dongfang Ji's tone was still indifferent as he said indifferently, "Who would know if we don't try?" Old man Dongfang, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're the dean of the Sacred Institute. Wei Zhe said gloomily, "It is not impossible to give Ningyu a core position, but he has to participate in the core position assessment. As long as he can pass the assessment, I will not make things difficult for him." Zhang Tianwen did not participate in the core position assessment. At this moment, the brown-robed elder beside him said. The brown-robed elder also disliked Wei Zhe's overbearing attitude. However, Wei Zhe had a strong backing, so strong that he was somewhat unscrupulous in the Sacred Institute. Yuan Zhen, no one will think you are mute if you don't speak. Wei Zhe scolded. Swoosh! Dongfang Ji's expression changed, and he suddenly released his aura. This matter is settled. As long as Ning you can make the crystal ball turn purple, I will give him the core position. Dongfang Ji's tone was unquestionable as he said coldly. Whoosh! Feeling the strong aura from Dongfang Ji, Wei Zhe's face instantly darkened. I didn't expect you to advance to the peak of the primal core stage, Wei Zhe said in a low voice. In the Sacred Institute, Dongfang Ji had always shown that he was at the late primal core stage, which was only one stage higher than him. Who would have thought that Dongfang Ji had already advanced to the peak of the primal core stage, and he was still in the middle primal core stage? If Dongfang Ji was only at the late primal core stage, with his backing he could still pressure Dongfang Ji. Once Dongfang Ji advanced to the pinnacle of the primal core stage, he would be able to enter the forbidden grounds of Dongwu College to cultivate, and from there, he would have the opportunity to touch the threshold of the yin-yang stage. If there were no accidents, it would be impossible for Wei Zhe to advance to the yin-yang realm, or even the peak of the origin core realm. Buzz! Suddenly, there was a buzzing sound, and the color of the crystal ball projection on the wall changed again. In just a few seconds, the projection of the crystal ball turned completely blue. Bang! Moreover, after the crystal ball turned blue, it didn't stop at all. Instead, it headed straight for the final form of the crystal ball, purple. The color of the crystal ball changed very quickly. It was so fast that even Dongfang Ji was moved. He stood up from his chair. A minute later, a quarter of the crystal ball had turned purple. 2 minutes later, 1/3 of the crystal ball had turned purple. 3 minutes later, the crystal ball was half purple and half blue. Rumble. Another 3 minutes later, the crystal ball projection on the wall suddenly exploded and completely disappeared. Bang! At the same time on the stage, Ningyu felt an extremely strong yuan qi ball coming from the stone tablet, suddenly blasting towards his face. Phantom armor. At the critical moment, Ningyu hurriedly used his soul power to control the phantom armor, and his speed increased to the limit. The phantom armor was a low-grade heaven-level magic treasure, and its speed was comparable to a middle primal core stage martial artist. Therefore, in the eyes of the crowd, Ningyu was still in front of the stone tablet. Not good, retreat quickly. Xiaoyu shouted when she saw Ningyu floating in the air foolishly. Ningyu, leave quickly. Xigongling also hurriedly reminded. If we don't leave now, it'll be too late. Ouyang Yuan also shouted. They could feel that the yuan qi light balls that shot out from the stone steel were extremely powerful. At the very least, the three of them didn't have absolute confidence that they could block this yuan qi ball. Damn it! What the hell is going on? The sudden change caused Fang Yuanzi to be slightly stunned. However, this stunned state only lasted for 0.01 seconds before Fang Yuanzi reacted. He immediately rose from the ground and rushed towards Ningyu. He was the one who let Ningyu participate in the stone tablet test for the second time. If anything happened to Ningyu, he would feel guilty. Qi. However, just as Fang Yuanzi moved, he stopped in midair. Looking at the two halves of Ningyu in front of him, he opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he felt that there was some bitterness in his mouth. It's an afterimage. Someone shouted, pulling Fang Yuanzi out of his daze once again. It's really an afterimage? When Fang Yuanzi saw Ningyu at the end of the stage, his eyes widened and revealed a look of disbelief. Just now, that ball of yuan qi had not hit Ningyu's body but an afterimage? How could Ningyu's speed be so fast that even an early primal core cultivator like him didn't notice anything wrong? If not for someone shouting, he would have thought that Ningyu had been split in two by the yuan chi ball. Swoosh! Fang Yuanzi didn't stay where he was for long. In a flash, he came before the yuan chi ball. He raised his wrist, and with a wave of yuan chi, it collided with the yuan chi ball. Chi-chi! When the two collided, only a sizzling sound erupted, and then the yuan chi dispersed into the surroundings. Fang Yuanzi was, after all, an early primal core cultivator. Although the yuan chi ball was powerful, it still couldn't do anything to him. After blocking the yuan chi ball, the yuan chi under Fang Yuanzi's feet rumbled, and in an instant he came to Ningyu's side. After carefully observing Ningyu for a while, Fang Yuanzi said, "Are you sure you're okay?" Being stared at by Fang Yuanzi, Ningyu's body trembled, and he even had goosebumps. Fang Yuanzi couldn't be gay, could he? At this thought, Ningyu moved away from Fang Yuanzi and said, "I'm sure I'm okay. Are you really okay?" Fang Yuanzi still felt uneasy and asked again. "I'm really okay," Ningyu said helplessly. "Are you sure you're okay?" Fang Yuanzi asked for the third time. This time, Ningyu was completely speechless. He rolled his eyes and said, "I'm really sure, I'm okay." After confirming that Ningyu was okay, Fang Yuanzi heaved a sigh of relief and said, "As long as you're okay, as long as you're okay." Then he turned his gaze to the stone tablet. Fang Yuanzi was so shocked that his eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Chapter 266. Looking at the stone tablet and then at Ningyu, Fang Yuanzi did not know what to say for a moment. Not long ago, he had said that true martial realm martial artists had to leave a mark on the 7th layer of the stone tablet. Otherwise, they would fail the examination. Now that Ningyu had not left a mark on the 7th layer, he really did not know how to announce it. Fang Yuanzi continued the examination. Just as Fang Yuanzi was feeling puzzled, Dongfang Zhi's voice sounded in his mind. Hearing Dongfang Zhi's voice, Fang Yuanzi did not dare to ask any more questions and immediately said, "The remaining true martial realm martial artists participate in the examination." Swoosh! This time, the remaining true martial realm martial artists did not hesitate and rushed to the stone tablet one after another. 10 minutes later, including Ningyu and the other 4, all 32 true martial realm martial artists had completed the examination. Among the 32 martial artists, only 2 true martial realm martial artists had failed the examination. The remaining 30 true martial realm martial artists all succeeded on the first try and left a mark on the 7th layer of the stone tablet. After all the true martial realm martial artists had completed the examination, Fang Yuanzi said in a deep voice, "First of all, congratulations on passing the first examination of the Sacred Institute. However, don't celebrate too early, because the second examination is even more stringent than the first. The second examination of the Sacred Institute, the Alchemy examination. Everyone in the Sacred Institute, in addition to having a strong martial cultivation, cannot be too low in alchemy. Because you have exhausted too much of your yuan qi in the first examination, you now have 2 hours to recover your yuan qi. After 2 hours, the alchemy will officially begin." Whoosh! As soon as Fang Yuanzi's voice fell, a few elders leaped onto the fighting stage and began to arrange the contents of the second examination. The 80 martial artists on the fighting stage were not fools. Almost as soon as Fang Yuanzi's voice fell, everyone sat down cross-legged. 2 hours. I wonder if I can fill the yuan qi in the golden core of the virtual image. Ningyu fiercely cursed Fang Yuanzi in his heart. Now that all the yuan qi in his body had been exhausted, he could at most replenish the yuan qi in one golden core of the virtual image in 2 hours. Fortunately, the second examination was an alchemy examination. Otherwise, he would not even have tears to cry. "Ningyu, what are you doing?" At the side, when Xiaoyu saw the peak-grade essence crystal in Ningyu's hand, her expression became somewhat exaggerated. She said, "There are only 2 hours. If you don't hurry up and recover your essence, what's the use of taking out a peak-grade essence crystal? Of course, it's to replenish the yuan qi that I've exhausted. Do you think I'm going to take it out to play? Ning Yu waved the top-grade origin crystal in his hand and looked at Xiao Yu. However, when he saw the pill in Xiao Yu's hand, his jaw dropped. Supreme grade vitality, restoring pill. Xiao Yu was holding 2 top-grade vitality, restoring pills in her hands, and was showing him an exaggerated expression. Then, Ning Yu shifted his gaze elsewhere. This glance caused Ning Yu's jaw to drop to the ground. This was because the 70 to 80 martial artists around him each held one or a few supreme grade essence, recovering pills in their hands. What he held in his hand was not a supreme grade essence recovering pill, but a supreme grade essence crystal. I don't need so many. I'll give you one. Xiao Yu rolled her eyes at Ning Yu and casually tossed a supreme grade essence recovering pill to Ning Yu. Receiving the supreme grade essence recovering pill from Xiao Yu's hand, Ning Yu did not know whether to laugh or cry. He had forgotten about this kind of heaven-defying pill. If he had known earlier, he would have refined more supreme grade essence recovering pills. Thank you. Although the supreme grade essence recovering pill was no longer of much use to him, Ning Yu still expressed his gratitude. What are you thanking me for? After the Sacred Institute's enrollment ends, you need to return me a supreme grade essence recovering pill. Xiao Yu's following words made Ning Yu have the urge to vomit blood. Yes, I'll definitely return you a supreme grade essence recovering pill at that time. As he spoke, Ning Yu opened his mouth and directly threw the supreme grade essence recovering pill into his mouth. Swoosh! Ning Yu's action caused Xiao Yu to be dumbfounded, unable to react for a long time. The supreme grade essence recovering pill. Ning Yu actually ate it as if it were candy? Wasn't this too much nonsense? One must know that even with her cultivation in the late stage of the true martial realm, she would not dare to swallow a supreme grade essence recovering pill like this. Although the function of the essence recovering pill was to instantly restore the consumed true qi, it was not the method of recovery. Unless the body's strength had reached the Yuan Dan realm, otherwise, swallowing the essence recovering pill like Ning Yu was very likely to cause his body to explode and die. When the forest is big, there are all kinds of birds. At this moment, when Yi curled his lips and said with a smile, with a cultivation in the early stage of the true martial realm, he actually dares to swallow a supreme grade essence recovering pill like this. It seems that everyone should stay away from him, lest his body explodes and he implicates us. Rumble. Wen Yi's words directly caused the surrounding martial artists to take a few steps back, distancing themselves from Ning Yu. Directly swallowing a supreme grade essence recovering pill was indeed terrifying. Swish! Ning Yu's expression was somewhat ugly. Suddenly, Ning Yu's heart stirred and a thought emerged in his mind. His eyeballs swiveled, and Ning Yu said indifferently to Wen Yi, "Your worries are completely unnecessary. I'm immune to the essence recovering pill. I'll eat as many as I have, and nothing will happen to me." Really nothing? Who are you trying to fool? When Yi said disdainfully, if you don't believe me, you can give it a try. Ning Yu said with a smile, "What kind of test?" When Yi raised his brows and asked, "No matter how many essence recovering pills you have on you right now, I can swallow them all." Ning Yu appeared somewhat arrogant as he said proudly. Hearing that, Wen Yi's first thought was that Ning Yu was scheming against him. Immediately after, he felt that it was impossible. In his view, the toughness of Ning Yu's body was not weak. At the very least, swallowing 2 or 3 supreme grade essence recovering pills would not have any adverse effects. And Ning Yu definitely thought that he only had a few supreme grade essence recovering pills on him. So he wanted to cheat away the supreme grade essence recovering pills from him for free. Except, Ning Yu might not have thought that he always had the habit of carrying medicinal pills on him. The corners of his mouth curled up, revealing a hint of an evil smile. When Yi flicked his wrist and took out a transparent gourd, waving the gourd in his hand, when Yi said with a smile, "This is all the assets I have on me. It's not much either. 30 high-grade essence, recovering pills, 20 supreme-grade essence, recovering pills, and even 1 transcendent-grade essence, recovering pill." What? Seeing the gourd in Wen Yi's hand, Ning Yu's eyes opened wide, his face full of stupefaction. Ning Yu extended his palm and pointed at Wen Yi, saying in a trembling voice, "You actually have so many essence recovering pills!" "Ha ha ha! Could it be that you're going back on your word and don't dare to swallow these essence recovering pills anymore?" Wen Yi was very satisfied with Ning Yu's reaction. He threw his head back and laughed loudly, then immediately said coldly, "Consider yourself unlucky today. If it were a few days ago, I'd have at least 50 supreme-grade essence, recovering pills on me too." Puwork. When the surrounding martial artists heard Wen Yi's words, some could not resist laughing out loud. This was still called unlucky? If luck was good, wouldn't he have to swallow 50 supreme-grade essence, recovering pills? Swallowing 50 supreme-grade essence, recovering pills. Just thinking about it was somewhat terrifying. Ning Yu, these essence recovering pills on Big Brother, the total value is around 15 million high-grade essence crystals. Chapter 267. Wen Pai, are you sure there are 15 million high-grade origin crystals in the storage bag? Hearing that there were high-grade origin crystals to be earned, Ning Yu instantly recovered from his stupor and said indifferently, "Let me check. I don't really trust you." You. Clenching his fists, Wen Pai was so angry that his body was trembling. Taking a deep breath, Wen Pai threw the storage bag to Ning Yu. Pa. Catching the storage bag, Ning Yu's soul power gushed out and quietly entered the storage bag. After a while, Ning Yu nodded and returned the storage bag to Wen Pai. There are indeed 15 million high-grade origin crystals. You're right. Ning Yu nodded. Ning Yu, if there are no problems, start consuming the origin recovery pills now. You have 2 hours. As he spoke, Wen Yi was about to throw the gourd in his hand to Ning Yu. Wait. However, Ning Yu pushed his right hand forward and said, "When did I say that I would finish consuming all the origin recovery pills you have in 2 hours? You dare to go back on your words." Wen Yi's face was livid, feeling that he was tricked by Ning Yu. There must be something wrong with your ears. My original words were, "I can consume as many origin recovery pills as you have right now." Ning Yu said, "I did say that I would consume the origin recovery pills, but I didn't say how long it would take to finish consuming all the origin recovery pills you have." Swoosh! When Yi took out a storage bag and said, "There are 30 million high-grade origin crystals in here. As long as you finish consuming all the origin recovery pills in the gourd in 2 hours, it will belong to you. I do want 45 million high-grade origin crystals, but I don't have much confidence in consuming so many origin recovery pills at once." After a moment of silence, Ning Yu shook his head. However, looking at his expression, he still wanted to take a gamble. Swoosh! Wen Yi's face was extremely dark. He gritted his teeth and took out a jade bottle. There's a level 7 medicinal pill inside. If you can swallow the essence returning pill in the gourd within 2 hours, I'll give it to you. Wen Yi said in a cold voice. Hua! As soon as Wen Yi's voice faded, it caused waves of noise. A 7th grade medicinal pill? Was Wen Yi stupid? He actually took out an incomparably precious 7th grade medicinal pill as a wager. I wonder what grade 7 medicinal pill is inside the jade bottle. The grade 7 medicinal pills on Wen Yi can't be that bad. I wonder if Ning Yu dares to accept this bet. Compared to everyone else, Ning Yu's reaction was much bigger. Nether spirit pill. The instant Wen Yi took out the jade bottle, he discovered that the jade bottle contained the nether spirit pill. although when E had smeared a layer of aura-concealing powder on the outside of the jade bottle, it was still discovered by Ning Yu's keen senses. Bet. Practically without the slightest hesitation, Ning Yu said loudly, "A 7th-grade medicinal pill plus 45 million high-grade essence crystals. Not betting is a fool." Hearing that Ning Yu accepted the wager, Wen Yi's eyes lit up and he immediately threw the gourd in his hand to Ning Yu. Pa! Catching the gourd, Ning Yu was just about to open it when Si Kongling at the side hurriedly said, "Ning Yu, this isn't a joke. So many essence-returning pills, even an origin core realm martial artist wouldn't dare to swallow them raw. Humph! If he wants to die, he can't blame us." This time, Xiao Yu's reaction was not so intense, but she said coldly, "Don't worry, I'll swallow a few first to try. Once there's a problem, I'll stop immediately." As he spoke, Ning Yu opened the gourd and took out a high-grade essence returning pill and threw it into his mouth. The high-grade essence returning pill didn't even last a second in Ning Yu's mouth before it was crushed and swallowed by Ning Yu. Subsequently, Ning Yu simply threw the remaining 29 high-grade essence returning pills into his mouth. Crack! Crack! Once the 29 high-grade essence returning pills entered his mouth, Ning Yu seemed to be unaffected as he chewed them all in a few bites. Spirit transformation technique. With a thought, Ning Yu hurriedly sat cross-legged and madly circulated the spirit transformation technique. As Ning Yu had already cultivated the spirit transformation technique to the 4th level, he only took 10 minutes to refine all the high-grade essence returning pills. Sure enough, the superior grade essence rejuvenation pill doesn't have much of an effect on me. 30 superior grade essence rejuvenation pills can only recover so little essence energy. Ning Yu was slightly disappointed when he sensed the essence energy in the golden core. He had a total of 2 illusory golden cores. Now, one of them had no essence returning pills at all, and the other only had 1/3 of essence returning pills. At this rate, the remaining 20 supreme grade essence returning pills and 1 supreme grade essence returning pill might not be able to restore him to his peak state. Without thinking so much, Ning Yu took out a supreme grade essence returning pill from the gourd and put it into his mouth. A moment later, Ning Yu took out another supreme grade essence returning pill and threw it into his mouth. A minute later, Ning Yu took out the 3rd supreme grade essence returning pill. Subsequently, Ning Yu increased his speed and continuously took out supreme grade essence returning pills and threw them into his mouth. Swoosh! Ning Yu's actions made the martial artists at the scene completely dumbfounded. What kind of amazing person was this? Swallowing supreme grade essence returning pills was like swallowing jelly beans. Was he not afraid of exploding and dying? Thinking of this, everyone once again pulled away from Ning Yu. Ning Yu is almost done for. At the rate he's eating, I dare to conclude that in less than 2 hours he will definitely explode and die. The corners of his mouth curled up, and when Yi said with a sinister smile, "Do you think it's so easy to take advantage of us brothers?" When Pai echoed, "Why is Ning Yu so reckless?" At the side, Ouying Yuan was also somewhat puzzled when he saw Ning Yu's actions. Originally, he thought that Ning Yu had a card up his sleeve and would definitely win the bet with Wen Yi. Looking at it now, Ning Yu was more reckless. If it were him, he would definitely swallow supreme grade essence, returning pills slowly. After all, there was still a long time before the 2 hours deadline. There was no need to be so anxious. Ning Yu wouldn't be stupid, right? Yan Hui's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. Yan Hui admitted that Ning Yu was very strong, but no matter how strong he was, he should not swallow essence returning pills like this. Could it be that he was really not afraid of exploding and dying? Perhaps Ning Yu can really finish swallowing these essence returning pills in one piece. Yang Yu frowned slightly. For some reason, he always had strong confidence in Ning Yu. This kind of confidence became increasingly intense after he found out that Ningyu was Danyu. A little interesting. Now, I'm looking forward to fighting with him more and more, Sha Xingtian said coolly as he stared at Ningyu with interest. Looks like the information we gathered on Ningyu is wrong. We have to collect the information again, Sha Xingtian said with a frown. Quickly look. Ningyu. Right at this time, no one knew who shouted, pulling everyone's thoughts back. They all looked toward Ningyu, only to see the essence energy under Ningyu's feet surging, and he slowly rose into the air. In midair, Ningyu took out the last supreme great essence returning pill from the gourd and tossed it into his mouth to chew a few times. Bang! Following that, Ningyu exerted a little force with his wrist and directly crushed the gourd. Whoosh! After crushing the gourd, a round and smooth medicinal pill emitting a faint mist appeared in Ningyu's hand. Transcendent grade essence, returning pill. Chapter 268. Silence. Silence. Deathly silence. In the Danwu Plaza, everyone looked at Ningyu in shock. The expressions on their faces were exceptionally interesting. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Or is this world too crazy? Your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. This world is indeed too crazy. Isn't Ningyu too monstrous? That's 30 high-grade essence returning pills, 20 supreme grade essence returning pills, and 1 transcendent grade essence returning pill. Even a half-step origin core realm martial artist would not be able to withstand the powerful essence returning pills contained within them. How did Ningyu do it? Maybe his stomach is bigger than others. In the Danwu Plaza, even the sounds of discussion that resounded on the entire fighting platform did not affect Ningyu. In midair, Ningyu chewed the transcendent great essence returning pills in no time, then circulated the spirit transformation art and started to absorb the essence returning pills frenziedly. Although the transcendent grade essence returning pills contained an enormous amount of essence returning pills, under the powerful suction force of Ningyu's 4th level spirit transformation art, it was quickly refined. After refining the transcendent grade essence returning pills, Ningyu raised his palm slightly and blasted out a palm print that was not considered too big. Explode! Rumble! Following Ningyu's low cry, a loud boom rang out, and the palm print in midair suddenly exploded. As Ningyu's control of essence returning pills was very good, the aftermath of the explosion did not spread in all directions, but directly dissipated between heaven and earth. Not bad. It's a little out of my expectations. I've actually managed to fill up the 2 illusory golden cores. Feeling the essence returning pills in his sea of consciousness, Ningyu nodded his head in satisfaction and swept down from midair. Gulp! Seeing Ningyu land on the fighting platform unscathed, the surrounding martial artists were dumbfounded once again. There were even some martial artists who could not help but swallow a few mouthfuls of saliva. This was 2F *king exciting. He swallowed so many essence returning pills consecutively, and it was as if nothing had happened. He really had no choice but to give in to such an awesome person. Ignoring the whispers of the crowd, Ningyu went straight to Wen-Yi, extended his right hand, and said, 45 million high-grade essence crystals for a grade 7 medicinal pill. You. Wen-Yi's expression was very ugly, even uglier than pig liver. Other people often walked by the river. How could they not wet their shoes? He was different from others. He often walked by the river and never had dry shoes. His shoes got wet again and again. Ever since he met Ningyu, his good luck seemed to have left him. Here, even though he was furious, Wen-Yi did not go back on his word. With a flick of his hand, he tossed the storage bag to Ningyu. Taking the storage bag, Ningyu checked the number of crystals inside, then placed it in his bosom. Then Ningyu said again, grade 7 medicinal pill. Stop looking, it's the grade 7 medicinal pill in the jade bottle in your hand. Hurry up and don't play any tricks. With a gloomy expression, Wen-Yi said, 1 million top-grade essence crystals, I'll use 1,000,000 top-grade essence crystals to exchange for this grade 7 medicinal pill. The grade 7 medicinal pill in the jade bottle was the ghost pill, an extremely terrifying medicinal pill. How could Wen-Yi want to give it to Ningyu? The ghost pill was refined by the Corpse sect. If Ningyu opened the jade bottle after obtaining it, exposing the ghost pill to everyone, wouldn't he be finished? Danwu College was a place of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Wen-Yi believed that once the ghost pill was exposed to everyone, there would definitely be people who would notice its abnormality. Ningyu said lightly, "Only 1,000,000 top-grade essence crystals. Are you trying to send a beggar away?" Wen-Yi said in a deep voice, 2,000,000. Seeing that Ningyu did not respond, Wen-Yi said again, 3,000,000. What exactly do you want? Finally, Wen-Yi said gloomily, "What do I want? I don't want anything." Ningyu shrugged. The moment the word anything was said, Ningyu instantly disappeared. Swish! Then, Wen-Yi only felt a shadow pass by in front of him. Lowering his head to look at his empty hands, Wen-Yi froze on the spot. After a while, Wen-Yi reacted and shouted, "Ningyu, you took away my grade 7 medicinal pill." Shaking the jade bottle in his hand, Ningyu said, "Wen-Yi, you have already lost this grade 7 medicinal pill to me. Now it belongs to me. Big brother, what should we do?" Wen-Pai also knew that the ghost pill was inside the jade bottle. His expression also became very ugly when he shouted in a low voice, "As long as he dares to open the jade bottle, we will immediately attack." Not far away, Ningyu carefully looked at the jade bottle for a while. Then, under Wen-Yi's attentive gaze, he put it away. Phew! Ningyu's action caused Wen-Yi and Wen-Pai to slightly relax and let out a long breath. They were really worried that Ningyu would open the jade bottle. If the jade bottle was opened, the consequences were not something they could bear. Now, Ningyu put the jade bottle away. When Ningyu took out the jade bottle again, he could very well deny it. "Ningyu, are you sure you're fine?" Right at this time, Sikong-ling came to Ningyu's side and reached out to touch Ningyu, asking hesitantly, "Swish!" Ningyu instantly jumped far away and looked at Sikong-ling with a suspicious gaze, saying, "What could happen to me? Moreover, if something really happened to me, would I still be standing here right now?" "That's true." Sikong-ling nodded, his expression somewhat solemn. "Not much different from a Thoreau pig. Can really eat." Xiao Yu curled her lips. Ningyu didn't know how to answer Xiao Yu's words and could only silently think that women were very strange. Ningyu used a total of 1 hour to finish swallowing the essence returning pill in the gourd. In this 1 hour, everyone was watching Ningyu swallow the essence returning pill. Almost no one recovered their essence chi. Therefore, at this time, everyone was busy and began to replenish their exhausted essence chi. As for Ningyu, he wasn't idle either. Instead, he activated the spirit transformation technique and began to cultivate. The path of cultivation was like rowing a boat against the current. If one didn't advance, one would fall back. Although half an hour was short, it would still be of some use in cultivation. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, 1 hour had passed. Fang Yuanzi's feet suddenly stomped on the ground and his body soared into the air. The 2-hour time limit is up. Next, I will announce the contents of the second stage. Fang Yuanzi said in a clear voice. First, there are a total of 80 stone tables here. On each stone table is an ordinary pill furnace. Pointing to the other side of the stage, Fang Yuanzi said in a deep voice, "Beside the pill furnace, there are 2 sets of medicinal ingredients. What you need to do is to use the 2 sets of medicinal ingredients beside the pill furnace to refine 2 pills within 1 hour. The quality of the pills has a minimum requirement, which cannot be lower than the middle grade. 2 sets of medicinal ingredients. You can refine 2 furnaces of pills. As long as 1 pill is a middle grade pill, then you pass this stage. If you don't even have a middle grade pill, then I'm sorry, you have failed the test. Vice Dean Fong, what pill are we going to refine? Someone asked after Fong Yuanzi's voice faded. Chapter 269. No. It can't be? Fong Yuanzi's words caused the martial artist who had asked to be dumbfounded. His face was filled with confusion. Ignoring that martial artist, Fong Yuanzi said in a low voice, "Let me tell you now. The 2 sets of herbs beside the cauldron are for refining the essence condensing pill." Essence condensing pill. Fong Yuanzi's words caused a commotion in the entire Elixir Martial Plaza. They're actually refining the essence condensing pill. The essence condensing pill is a 3rd-grade elixir. Isn't the Sacred Institute's examination too strict? That's right. Only the Sacred Institute's examination is so insane. In the alchemy martial outer court, as long as one can refine an inferior grade essence condensing pill, it will definitely attract the attention of those elders, let alone refining a middle grade essence condensing pill. This time, a lot of people are probably going to be eliminated, knowing that they were going to refine the essence condensing pill. The 80 martial artists on the stage were half happy and half worried. Some of the 3rd-grade alchemy masters were naturally the happy half. As for the alchemy masters who had yet to reach 3rd grade, they had long faces, almost showing despair. To them, refining the 3rd-grade essence condensing pill was harder than ascending to heaven. What's there to be afraid of? Anyway, the Sacred Institute will recruit 30 Xiantian stage martial artists. I don't believe that 30 out of 50 Xiantian stage martial artists can refine a middle-grade soul solidifying pill. Suddenly, a Xiantian stage martial artist muttered, "Swoosh." Although this martial artist's voice was very, very low, Fong Yuanzi's sharp hearing still heard it. In a flash, Fong Yuanzi appeared in front of this Xiantian martial artist. Looking at this Xiantian martial artist, Fong Yuanzi did not lose his temper. Instead, he said calmly, "You're very well informed. That's right, the Sacred Institute initially planned to recruit 30 Xiantian martial artists. But at this point, Fong Yuanzi changed the topic and continued, "I just received a piece of news. A piece of news that's very bad for you. Dean Dongfang personally said that every round has to strictly follow the examination requirements. Those who don't meet the requirements will be eliminated immediately." Hearing this Xiantian martial artist's face turned pale. He was a peak 2nd grade alchemy master, ranked 10th on the innate combat ranking. He originally thought he could enter the Sacred Institute, but now it seemed that his chances were very slim. "Don't just stand there. You only have an hour." Looking around, Fong Yuanzi announced loudly, "I hereby announce that the countdown starts now." Voila! As soon as Fong Yuanzi finished speaking, 50 Xiantian realm martial artists moved and appeared beside the stone table in the blink of an eye. Among these Xiantian realm martial artists, only about half of them were 3rd-grade alchemists. And among this half, there were quite a few 3rd-grade early-stage alchemists. For an early-stage, grade 3 alchemist, being able to refine a soul condensing pill was already not bad, let alone refining a middle-grade soul condensing pill. Therefore, they did not dare to waste any time. There were 2 sets of medicinal ingredients. Since the first set failed, there was still a second chance. Comparatively speaking, true martial realm martial artists were much better. After a minute, the true martial realm martial artists also flashed and started refining the soul condensing Dan. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the next moment, Xiao Yu and Sikong Ling's figures flashed out and started preparing to refine the medicinal pill. Whoosh! Whoosh! Before long, Zhang Xiaozhong and Ouyang Yuan also rushed to the stone table. Xiao! Xiao! After another 5 minutes, Sha Xingtian and Sha Potholder also instantly moved and flew towards the stone table. Until now, there were still 3 people who had not refined the soul condensing Dan. Wen Yi, Wen Pai, and Ning Yu. The reason why Ningyu did not go to refine the medicinal pill was because he was more engrossed in his cultivation and forgot about the time. As for Wen-Yi and Wen-Pai, they saw that Ningyu did not go, so they did not go either. Big brother, that kid Ningyu did not go to refine the medicinal pill. Is he playing some trick? Wen-Pai said in a deep voice, "It's hard to say. Let's wait a little longer." Looking at Ningyu, Wen-Yi said. Wen-Yi and the rest were afraid of Ningyu. Ning, you did not go to refine the medicinal pill. In their opinion, it was very likely that he was scheming against them. Sha. 10 minutes later, Wen-Yi and Wen-Pai were still very calm. 15 minutes later, seeing that Ningyu had no intention of starting, Wen-Yi and Wen-Pai panicked. Half an hour passed. Wen-Yi and Wen-Pai's faces became very ugly, extremely ugly. Both of them were late-stage, third-grade alchemists. Generally speaking, refining the soul condensing pill was not difficult. However, they needed at least 20 minutes to refine the soul condensing pill. Without 20 minutes, it was very likely that they would not be able to refine the soul condensing pill. At this moment, a true realm martial artist in the distance fiercely slapped the alchemy furnace. Suddenly, a medicinal pill flew out. The medicinal pill was formed. Pa! Following that, there was the sound of several palms slapping the alchemy furnace. Several soul-condensing pills burst out from the alchemy furnace. These soul-condensing pills, most of them were middle-grade medicinal pills. Only a few of them reached high-grade. Of course, there were 2 or 3 of them that barely reached low-grade. Those who managed to refine mid-grade and above beamed with joy. The martial artists who had successfully refined the low-grade essence condensing pill immediately started to refine the second furnace. Swish! After another minute, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes. F***CK, so the alchemy assessment has already started. Seeing that many martial artists had already started refining the soul condensing pill, Ningyu's expression was a little exaggerated. He could not help but curse. The 2 of you didn't refine medicinal pills either. Looking at the Wen-Yi brothers not far away, Ningyu said, "All right, you 2 are 4th-grade alchemists. 15 minutes is enough for you to refine a batch of soul-condensing pills. Since that's the case, I won't keep you company. After all, I'm not a 4th-grade alchemist." Swoosh! After that, Ningyu's figure burst out. In an instant, he was in front of the stone table. Holding the alchemy furnace with his right hand, he threw the medicinal ingredients into the furnace with his left hand and started refining the medicinal pills. When he felt a dull pain in his chest and a fishy taste came from his throat. Swallowing the fishy taste, when he said coldly, "There's still 20 minutes left. Hurry up." Swish! Swish! When he rose from the ground and raised his speed to the limit. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of the stone table. Time was tight. When he did not stop and started refining the soul condensing pill. Bang! However, after a minute, a crisp sound was heard. Wen Yi's face was ashen. Pill explosion. As he was not prepared and he was in a rush, Wen Yi's first batch of soul-condensing pill ended with the explosion of the pill after a minute. Damn it! Cursing in his heart, Wen Yi took a deep breath and tried hard to calm himself down. 3 minutes. After spending 3 minutes, Wen Yi finally calmed himself down completely. After calming down, Wen Yi started refining the second batch of soul-condensing pill. Pa! While Wen Yi was refining the soul-condensing pill, the crisp sound on the stage was endless. Soul-condensing pills were being refined continuously. In the blink of an eye, 55 minutes had passed. There were only 5 minutes left before the 1-hour deadline. Up until now, out of the 80 martial artists who participated in refining the soul-condensing pill, 70 had completed the assessment. Chapter 270. Could it be that Ning Yu can't refine the soul condensing pill? Xiao Yu's face was filled with worry. Don't worry, he can definitely refine the soul condensing pill. Si Kong Ling trusted Ning Yu. There's still the last 5 minutes. Unless Ning Yu is a fast shooter, it will be very difficult to refine the soul condensing pill. Xiao Yu was still a little worried. After all, Ning Yu had just put half of the ingredients into the cauldron, and there was still half of the ingredients on the stone table. Anyway, don't worry, there won't be any big problems. Si Kong Ling said awkwardly. Slap, slap. Right at this moment, Wen Yi and Wen Pai slapped the cauldron at the same time. In a split second, the lid of the cauldron exploded, and 2 round medicinal pills shot out. Wen Yi and Wen Pai's figures flashed, and they grabbed the medicinal pills in their hands. High-grade soul condensing pill, not bad. Looking at the medicinal pills in his hands, Wen Yi nodded in satisfaction. Mine is also a high-grade soul condensing pill. Just like Wen Yi, Wen Pai also refined a high-grade soul condensing pill. Big brother, look, Ning Yu, that brat, is still refining medicinal pills. Suddenly, Wen Pai pointed at Ning Yu and said. Hearing that, Wen Pai's gaze shifted to Ning Yu. When he saw Ning Yu calmly throw the ingredients into the cauldron, Wen Yi smiled, and his smile was a little arrogant. I thought Ning Yu's alchemy level was very high. Turns out that he can't even refine a 3rd-grade soul condensing pill. Wen Yi smiled sinisterly. The soul condensing pill is considered a high-grade medicinal pill among the 3rd-grade medicinal pills. Ning Yu refining. No. As he spoke, Wen Pai's expression suddenly changed, as he thought of a possibility. Big brother, that brat Ning Yu can't be thinking of using this opportunity to leave Danwu College, right? Wen Pai said in a low voice, he won a lot of supreme-grade crystals from us, and even a 7th-grade medicinal pill. Could he be thinking of running away? Whoosh! Wen Yi's expression turned gloomy. He and Wen Pai still needed to participate in the assessment. If Ning Yu really left, it would be difficult for them to find Ning Yu again. Soon enough, the worry vanished without a trace. The corner of Wen Yi's mouth curled up as he said, Lu Qing is currently below the stage. If Ning Yu leaves, he will definitely not let Ning Yu off. That's right. How could I have forgotten about Lu Qing? Wen Pai's eyes lit up. Wen Pai knew Lu Qing's character. He would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Back on the streets of the capital, Ning Yu had thoroughly offended Lu Qing. How could Lu Qing let Ning Yu off? Since Lu Qing was guarding them, they were no longer worried. Could it be that the person whom Principal Dongfang thinks highly of can't even concoct the essence condensing pill? In the last 3 minutes, even Fang Yuanzi could not sit still. Ning Yu was an amazing person who could activate the crystal ball at the top of the stone tablet. If he failed to even refine the essence condensing pill, it would be somewhat inexcusable. Dongfang Ji, this is the core quota that you have chosen. In the secret chamber, Wei Zhe looked at the projection on the wall and said coldly, a person who can't even refine a 3rd-grade essence condensing pill. What qualifications does he have to obtain a core quota? Furthermore, if he can't refine the essence condensing pill, he won't even be able to enter the Sacred Institute, let alone obtain a core quota. There are still 3 minutes left. Why are you in such a hurry? Dongfang Ji still had that calm look, as if he had a card up his sleeve. Hee, do you think that Ning Yu is like me? Even if it's me, it's impossible for me to refine the essence condensing pill in 3 minutes, Wei Zhe said with a smile. I also think more highly of Ning Yu. Yuan Zhen, who was beside him, said, Humph, if Ning Yu can refine the essence condensing pill, I will write my name backwards. Wei Zhe snorted coldly. From now on, don't call me Wei Zhe. Call me Zhe Wei. Whoosh! At the same time on the stage, Ning Yu threw all the remaining medicinal ingredients into the cauldron. The yuan qi in his hands burned crazily, increasing the heat. When refining the essence condensing pill, Ning Yu didn't use the blue spiritual fire. After all, the essence condensing pill was only a third-grade elixir. With his peak fourth-grade soul force, he didn't need the assistance of the blue spiritual fire at all. Was Ning Yu's head kicked by a donkey? It's hard to say. There are at least a third of the remaining medicinal ingredients. Doing this, he might even explode the cauldron. The after-effects of the cauldron's explosion are still very big. Quickly move away, lest it affects us. In an instant, near the stone table where Ning Yu was at, only Si Gongling, Xiao Yu, and a few bold people were left. The rest of the people all chose to move away. Adding so many medicinal ingredients into the cauldron can certainly save time. But if one's soul force isn't enough, the cauldron will explode, and if it's serious, one's life will be in danger. In the secret chamber, Wei Zhe saw Ning Yu's crazy actions, and the corner of his mouth rose unnaturally. Dongfang Ji, this core disciple that you've chosen, is definitely a genius. He's bold, but careful. His future achievements will definitely be very high. Wei Zhe gave Dongfang Ji a thumbs up and continued. Without reaching the peak fourth grade, it'll probably be very difficult to refine the essence condensing pill. Although he had guessed that Ning Yu might use this method, seeing Ning Yu really do it, Dongfang Ji was still a little worried. After all, until now, the soul force that Ning Yu revealed was only at the beginning fourth grade, far from the peak fourth grade. Without reaching the peak fourth grade, it would be very difficult to refine the essence condensing pill using this method. Dongfang Ji, looks like I don't need to write my name backwards. Wei Zhe shrugged. Then Wei Zhe shook his head and sighed. If Ning Yu can't enter the Sacred Institute, it will be a great loss to us. This loss is very big, so big that it's immeasurable. 1 minute left. Dongfang Ji said in a low voice. 1 minute? Dongfang Ji, I have to say that you're really naive. Even now, you still have hope for that kid. Wei Zhe said in a strange tone. If he can refine a mid-grade essence condensing pill, I won't interfere with the last core disciple. Suddenly, Dongfang Ji raised his eyebrows and a smile rose on his lips. Then Dongfang Ji said to Wei Zhe, I might have to disappoint you. Disappoint me? Impossible. What? Wei Zhe wanted to ridicule, but his eyes were fixed on the projection on the wall, his face filled with disbelief. Pill completed. On the stage, Ning Yu let out a low shout and slammed his right hand on the cauldron. Crack! Due to the great force, the cauldron was directly smashed into pieces. Swoosh! In the next moment, a pill rushed out from the broken cauldron and instantly shot up into the sky. Ning Yu's eyes shone brightly as he leaped up from the ground. Almost at the same time the medicinal pill rushed out, he grabbed it in his hand. Swoosh! Seeing that Ning Yu had grabbed the pill in his hand, Fang Yuanzi's figure flashed, and he appeared beside Ning Yu in an instant. Quick! Let me see what grade of essence condensing pill this is. Fang Yuanzi said impatiently. Without hesitation, Ning Yu slowly opened his palm. Gasp! Seeing the pill in Ning Yu's hand, Fang Yuanzi could not help but gasp. A supreme grade essence condensing pill. Fang Yuanzi did not expect that in a short 30 minutes, Ning Yu could actually refine a supreme grade essence condensing pill. Originally, he thought that when Yi and when Pai could refine a supreme grade essence condensing pill in half an hour. Now it seemed that Ning Yu was the real deal. Chapter 271. What? Supreme grade origin condensing pill. That's right, judging from the aura emitted by the medicinal pill. What Ning Yu refined is indeed a supreme grade origin condensing pill. This is too inconceivable. In a short half an hour, Ning Yu actually refined a supreme grade origin condensing pill? Looks like Ningyu is extremely likely to be a grade 4 alchemy master. The Danwu Plaza was in an uproar. Most people had dumbfounded looks on their faces. Things had really taken a dramatic turn. A moment ago, someone was still mocking Ningyu for not being able to refine an origin condensing pill. The next moment, Ningyu had already refined a supreme grade origin condensing pill. This slap to the face was really resounding. Impossible, this is impossible. How can Ningyu possibly refine a supreme grade origin condensing pill? When E was a little dumbfounded. Like everyone else, he also had a dumbfounded look on his face. He must be cheating. When Pi berated. Sigh. Some people really say the grapes are sour because they can't eat them. Right at this moment, Sikong Ling sighed lightly and imitated Wen Yi's tone as he said, I thought Ningyu's alchemy level was very high. Turns out that he can't even refine the origin condensing pill. You, clenching his fists tightly, Wen Yi's face was livid with anger. Big brother, don't lower yourself to his level. When Pi appeared very calm as he said, so what if he refined a supreme grade origin condensing pill? Could it be that he doesn't need to participate in the third stage of the exam? That's true. I still don't believe that Ningyu doesn't need to participate in the third stage of the exam. When E also calmed down and said indifferently, if he doesn't need to participate in the third stage of the exam, I'll directly give up on the Sacred Institute's recruitment. It is indeed a supreme grade origin condensing pill. I announce that the second stage of the alchemy exam Ningyu passes. In midair, Fang Yuanzi slightly calmed his emotions and said in a clear voice, in the process of refining the origin condensing pill this time, a total of 24 Xiantian realm martial artists passed the exam, and a total of 17 true realm martial artists passed the exam. Congratulations to the 41 martial artists who have passed the assessment and entered the third stage. At this point, Fang Yuanzi paused for a moment before continuing. The third round of assessment is relatively simple. It's a one-on-one battle. The winner will advance to the next round, and the loser will be eliminated immediately. Voila! The content of the third stage of the test, once again, caused a great uproar in the square. One-on-one battles weren't scary. What was scary was losing and being eliminated. In that case, the third round would eliminate a total of 20 martial artists. So many warriors had been eliminated in just 3 tests. From this, it was likely that not even 10 warriors would enter the Sacred Institute in the end. Because Ningyu refined a supreme grade origin condensation pill in the second stage, he doesn't need to participate in the third stage of the combat test. Fang Yuanzi's voice once again resounded in the Danwu Plaza. Boom! This time, the entire Danwu Plaza was seething with excitement, not having to participate in the third round of the combat test. This special treatment was a little too amazing. After all, the martial competition was always the most intense stage. There were even a few times where there were casualties. Hence, to be able to avoid the martial competition test was naturally for the best. Who was it just now who said that if Ningyu doesn't need to participate in the third round of the test, he'll give up on the Sacred Institute's recruitment? Sikong Ling said with a laugh, his expression somewhat exaggerated. Sikong Ling, don't go too far. When Yi said coldly, boring, going back on your words. Curling his lips, Sikong Ling started preparing for the third round of the test. Sikong Ling, you better hope that you don't encounter me in the third round. Otherwise, I'll let you know why flowers are so red. When Yi was so angry that his entire body was trembling as he said, gloomily, it was fine that Ningyu mocked him. After all, in his heart, Ningyu was no different from a dead person. But now, Sikong Ling actually mocked him too? Who did Sikong Ling count as? Merely a young lord of the black market. In the black market, there were at least 4 or 5 young lords like Sikong Ling. force Sikong Ling to want to climb to the highest level of the black market and control the black market was even harder than ascending to heaven. Just you wait, once I completely control the Snow Domain Pavilion. After I kill you, the black market won't dare to do anything to me. Sikong Ling secretly made up his mind. Once he took control of the Snow Domain Pavilion, he would immediately kill Sikong Ling Kacha. At the same time, in the secret room, Wei Zhe slapped the chair under him, smashing it into pieces. Her, Zhe Wei, this time you're wrong. Ning, you not only refined the soul condensing Dan, but also the best quality soul condensing Dan. Dongfang Ji showed a rare humorous side and said with a smile, Dongfang Ji, don't be too proud. It won't be that easy for Ningyu to pass the 4th round of the test. Wei Zhe said coldly, according to the previous agreement, the 4th round true martial realm martial artist must fight with the 4th ranked martial artist of the Sacred Institute's combat list and last 30 moves. I've received accurate information that the 4th ranked martial artist of the Sacred Institute's combat list is currently in closed-door training. Wei Zhe raised the corner of his mouth and said gloomily, now it seems that we can only send the 3rd ranked martial artist of the Sacred Institute's combat list. Before Dongfang Ji could speak, Yuan Zhen said, the 4th ranked martial artist of the Sacred Institute's combat list, Chao Jin, is at the peak of the true martial realm. In the last issue of the true martial ranking, he was at the 2000th rank. The 3rd ranked martial artist of the Sacred Institute's combat list, Su Shan, is at the peak of the true martial realm. In the last issue of the true martial ranking, he was at the 1000th rank. That's nothing. The Sacred Institute's main selection is for innate stage martial artists, not true martial realm martial artists. Wei Zhe said disapprovingly, if it wasn't for the 100 Academy tournament, they wouldn't have allowed true martial realm martial artists to participate in the Sacred Institute's recruitment. There's less than half a year until the 100 Academy tournament. If the outside true martial realm martial artists can't last 30 moves against Su Shan, there's no point in recruiting them into the Sacred Institute. If Ningyu can really last 30 moves against Su Shan, what's the point of giving him a core disciple slot? Swoosh! On the square, Fang Yuanzi's perception swept across the innate stage martial artists. After a while, Fang Yuanzi said in a deep voice, Zhou Yongluan against Yun Qing, Rong Bang against Mao Qin. Fang Yuanzi divided the 24 innate stage martial artists into 12 pairs according to their apparent strength. After the innate stage martial artists were divided, Fang Yuanzi looked at the true martial realm martial artists and frowned. Of the 17 true martial realm martial artists, excluding Ningyu, there were 16. Logically speaking, 16 martial artists should be easy to divide, but Fang Yuanzi was in a dilemma. After a while, Fang Yuanzi gritted his teeth and said, Mu Min against Xiao Yu, Chu Yun against Sikong Ling, Su Qi against Ouyang Yuan. After dividing the participants, Fang Yuanzi said in a clear voice, the first battle will start with the true martial realm martial artists. Mu Min, Xiao Yu, step forward. Swoosh! Hearing this, Xiao Yu's figure flashed and landed in front of Fang Yuanzi. Swoosh! On the other side, a man moved and stood in front of Xiao Yu. What the F*** CK? Are you sure this person is under 35 years old? Seeing Mu Min opposite Xiao Yu, Ningyu opened his mouth, somewhat speechless. Mu Min was about 9 meters tall. Chapter 272. Mu Min, 25 years old. Late stage of true martial realm. Sikong Ling explained, it shouldn't be too difficult for Xiao Yu to defeat him. 25 years old? Brother Sikong, are you sure you're not kidding me? Ning, you still did not believe it. No matter how he looked at Mu Min, he looked like a 40-year-old middle-aged uncle, not a 25-year-old youth. Why would I joke with you? Sikong Ling was speechless. Mu Min just looks a little old. His real age is not that old. Boom! While Ning Yu and Si Kongling were talking, Xiao Yu and Mu Min were already fighting. Mu Min and Xiao Yu were both late stage of true martial realm. The density of the essence in their bodies was not much different. After a punch, both sides retreated a few steps. Boom! Mu Min's feet stepped on the ground, and his body instantly rushed out. Although Mu Min was tall and sturdy, his speed was not slow. In the blink of an eye, Mu Min arrived in front of Xiao Yu. Roar! Mu Min did not use brute force to attack Xiao Yu, but stopped in an instant and roared at Xiao Yu. Buzz! This loud roar caused Xiao Yu's expression to change dramatically. Lion's roar! Mu Min actually used Lion's roar. Although Lion's roar was only a high-grade earth rank martial skill, when used to its limit, its power was comparable to a top-grade earth rank martial skill, and could even be compared to ordinary heaven rank martial skills. Facing Mu Min's incomparably powerful Lion's roar, Xiao Yu's eyes turned cold. His 5 fingers slightly bent, and in an instant he launched a palm print. Chi-chi! The palm print and Lion's roar collided, emitting a chi-chi sound. In the next moment, Mu Min's roar was dispersed by the powerful palm print. At the same time, Xiao Yu's palm print also shattered along with the Lion's roar. Xiao! After this attack, Xiao Yu raised his speed to the limit and almost instantly arrived in front of Mu Min. Bang! A punch was launched, and without any deviation, it just happened to land on Mu Min's chest. With a bang, Mu Min's body was like a kite with a broken string, falling straight off the fighting ring. He won just like that. The sudden change caused Ning Yu to widen his eyes, and his expression was somewhat exaggerated. Is Mu Min a fool? Or was Mu Min an idiot? Even if Xiao Yu's speed was very fast, he should have been able to block her for a while. No, I know why Mu Min didn't resist. Suddenly, Ning Yu's expression turned solemn. He could sense wisps of soul aura from Xiao Yu's palm. In other words, when Xiao Yu was about to come into contact with Mu Min, she used her soul power to secretly suppress Mu Min, causing Mu Min to be unable to resist at all. In fact, it was no wonder that Ning Yu was shocked. Not everyone could use soul suppression. The most important thing was that one's control over the soul had reached the pinnacle. If not for his experience from his previous life, Ning Yu would not have been able to use soul suppression. Xiao Yu wins the first match. Fang Yuanzi's voice rang out in the square without any emotion. The second round, Chu Yun versus Si Kongling. Whoosh! Whoosh! Si Kongling and Chu Yun simultaneously flew to the center of the battlefield. Chu Yun was only at the early stage of the true martial realm, and his strength was too far apart from Si Kongling's. If there were no accidents, Si Kongling would have won very quickly. I wonder where the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil are now. Since Si Kongling's strength was far stronger than Chu Yun's, Ning Yu no longer paid attention to him. Instead, he thought of the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil. The annihilation of the He family was a huge matter, but it only caused a huge reaction in the capital in the first few days. After that, no one mentioned it again. Of course, there was the influence of the Sacred Institute's recruitment, but Ning Yu always felt that someone was manipulating it from behind. The goal was to lure out him, who was behind the Dark Emperor. In everyone's eyes, the Dark Emperor was a dog. No matter how strong and intelligent this dog was, it was impossible for him to annihilate the He family. Everyone guessed that someone must be instructing the Dark Emperor behind the scenes. The Dark Emperor's strength was comparable to a half-step Yuan Dan martial artist. The person who could instruct the Dark Emperor must know the beast-taming technique. These people should be waiting for the Dark Emperor to find me and then obtain the beast-taming technique from me. Ning Yu muttered, I have to think of a way to inform the Dark Emperor and tell him not to show his face for the time being. Bang! Just as Ning Yu was thinking about how to inform the Dark Emperor, a muffled sound rang out. Chu Yun's body flew out and fell to the edge of the fighting ring. Si Kongling had held back, or else Chu Yin would have definitely been blasted off the fighting ring. The second match, Sikong Ling wins, Fang Yuan announced. The third match, Ouyang Yuan versus Su Qi. Although Ning Yu wasn't very interested in the rest of the competition, he still watched it. Through these matches, Ning Yu could understand the strength of the remaining martial artists and see if there were any hidden experts. The difference in strength between Ouyang Yuan and Su Qi was also quite large. In just a minute, Su Qi was defeated. The next match, Sha Xingtian versus Xiang Rong, also lasted for a minute, and Xiang Rong was also defeated. Sha Patian didn't waste too much time either and defeated Xu Liang. Sha Xingtian and Sha Patian aren't weak. Frowning slightly, Ning Yu's expression was solemn. From Sha Xingtian and Sha Potion's bodies, he could smell a deep killing intent. Although this killing intent was concealed, it was still detected by his sharp senses. Sha Xingtian's strength should be on par with Lu Qing's, Ning Yu murmured. Subsequently, Wen Yi and Wen Pai also defeated their respective opponents without much effort. Up until now, a total of less than half an hour had passed, and the 16 true martial realm martial artists had already finished their matches. The speed of the matches was impressive. Compared to the battles of true martial realm martial artists, the battles of Xiantian realm martial artists were much longer. After a full 3 hours, the 24 Xiantian realm martial artists finally finished their matches. Looking at the remaining 12 Xiantian realm martial artists, Ning Yu was slightly surprised. Yan Hui actually won. Yan Hui was ranked 99th on the Xiantian realm combat list, and Ning Yu didn't expect him to also pass the third round. One had to know that Yan Hui's opponent was a martial artist ranked 30th on the Xiantian realm combat list. To be able to win in such a situation, it meant that Yan Hui indeed had some skills. The third round of the assessment has ended. Congratulations to the 12 Xiantian realm martial artists who won. You have successfully entered the Sacred Institute. Fang Yuanzi's voice carried traces of Yuan Qi, and it resounded throughout the entire Dan Wu Plaza. Whoosh! The sudden change of events caused the 12 Xiantian realm martial artists on the fighting ring to be a little dumbfounded. Originally, they thought that there was still a fourth round of assessment. Who would have thought that happiness would come so suddenly? 1 second ago, they were still worried about the fourth round of assessment, and in the next second, they would be able to enter the Sacred Institute. Elder who? Fang Yuanzi bellowed in a low voice. Please send them to the Sacred Institute and arrange accommodation for them. Swoosh! As soon as Fang Yuanzi's voice fell, an old man's figure flashed and appeared on the fighting ring. Elder who was not tall, and he was slightly plump. His cultivation base was at the early stage primal core realm. Chapter 273. Just like that, Ning Yu muttered to himself as he looked at the back of the Xiantian realm martial artist. Not really. True martial realm martial artists still have to go through the fourth test. Fang Yuanzi's voice rang out. Compared to the previous 3 tests, the fourth test is the real test. Swoosh! As soon as Fang Yuanzi finished speaking, a figure flew over from afar. Not long after, the figure steadily landed on the fighting stage. Su Shan? Shouldn't it be Chao Jin? Seeing the figure on the fighting ring, Fang Yuan was stunned for a moment before he asked doubtfully. According to the agreement, the fourth test should be Chao Jin. Why was it Su Shan, who was ranked 3rd on the Sacred Institute ranking? Fang Yuanzi, Su Shan has been replaced from Chao Jin to Chao Jin. At this moment, Dong Fangji's voice sounded in Fang Yuanzi's mind. The test conditions have changed accordingly. These true martial realm martial artists only need to withstand 20 moves from Su Shan to pass the fourth test. All right, Fang Yuanzi was a little helpless. He would do whatever the higher-ups said. In fact, in his opinion, if it was Su Shan, he would have changed from 30 moves to 10, and not 20. Su Shan was much stronger than Chao Jin. Even if he could withstand 30 moves from Chao Jin, he might not be able to withstand 20 moves from Su Shan. After all, on the last true martial ranking, one was ranked 2,000 while the other was ranked 1,000. Ahem. Fong Yuanzi coughed twice and said, "Anyone who can withstand 20 moves from Su Shan will pass the fourth test and enter the Sacred Institute." On the fighting stage, including Ningyu, the remaining 9 true martial realm martial artists all had a serious look on their faces. They could all feel that Su Shan was very strong, ridiculously strong. He should be much stronger than Lu Qing. Ning Yu slightly frowned. He did not dare to underestimate Su Shan. From the aura Su Shan emitted, Su Shan's cultivation was at the peak of the true martial realm. Moreover, there were some soul force fluctuations coming from Yu Shan's body. It was highly possible that his soul force had reached the 4th grade. A martial artist at the peak of the true martial realm would have a 4th grade soul force strength. If they also knew some soul attack techniques, their strength would reach an extremely terrifying level. Su Shan, ranked 3rd on the Sacred Institute's combat rankings. A solemn expression appeared in heaven, destroying Sha's eyes. In the assassination pavilion, he was in charge of collecting information. Su Shan, who was ranked 3rd on the Sacred Institute ranking, was naturally on his list. In the last issue of the True Martial ranking, Su Shan was ranked 1,000th. Ouyang Yuan was a member of the royal family. Every issue of the True Martial Battle List was published by the royal family. Therefore, he could watch it in advance. He was ranked 2,400th on the True Martial ranking, while Su Shan was ranked 1,000th. "Big brother, this Su Shan is very strong," Wen Pai said in a deep voice. "I know that it won't be easy to withstand 20 moves from him," Wen Yi muttered. Facing Yu Shan, Wen Yi and Wen Pai were no longer arrogant. They put away their contempt. They knew very well that with their own strength, they could even fight against a martial artist ranked 10th on the Sacred Institute ranking. However, facing Yu Shan, they had no chance of winning. They could only hope that they could withstand 20 moves from Yu Shan and successfully enter the Sacred Institute. "Zhang Zhaozhong, step forward." Fong Yuan shouted in a deep voice, "You fight Yu Shan first." Swoosh! Hearing Fong Yuan calling him, Zhang Zhaozhong's heart skipped a beat. Originally, he thought that he would be the 3rd or 4th to be called, so he could roughly judge Yu Shan's strength. Now that he was the first to fight Yu Shan, he felt a little nervous. "Zhang Zhaozhong, please advise me." Since he was the first to be called, Zhang Zhaozhong had no choice but to brace himself and stand in front of Yu Shan. "Don't worry, I will definitely teach you well," Yu Shan said coldly with the corner of his mouth raised. As soon as he said the word yes, Yu Shan's body turned into a shadow and disappeared in the blink of an eye. "So fast!" Seeing Yu Shan disappear in front of him, Zhang Zhaozhong was a little stunned. However, it was this short moment that caused Zhang Zhaozhong's expression to change drastically. When he regained his senses, he saw Yu Shan appearing in front of him. Bang! Yu Shan threw out a punch, and it landed squarely on Zhang Zhaozhong's chest. A muffled sound rang out, and Yu Shan's body fell backward like a kite with a broken string. Boring, the quality of this batch of true martial realm martial artists is too low. After defeating Zhang Zhaozhong with a punch, Yu Shan shook his head and mumbled, "If it wasn't for the benefits Wei Zhe gave me, I wouldn't have come to participate in this test." Whoosh! Zhang Zhaozhong was ranked 2nd among the Zhang clan's younger generation, and he was a peerless genius who was second only to Zhang Tianwen. One move. He was defeated by Yu Shan with just one move. This showed how strong Yu Shan was. If he could be described with one word, it would be terrifying. Yu Shan is so strong. Among the remaining 8 true martial realm martial artists, who can withstand 20 moves from him? According to my estimation, It's already very good if there are 3. 3? You're overestimating them. In my opinion, there are at most 2. Haha, let's wait and see. Yu Shan defeating Zhang Xiaozhong with one move was indeed a huge blow to the remaining 8 true martial realm martial artists. Among them, Xikong Ling sighed softly and said, "Looks like my hopes of entering the Sacred Institute have been dashed." Yu Shan is very strong. I can't withstand 20 moves from him. Xiao Yu also revealed a disappointed expression. She looked at Ningyu and said, "Perhaps only this abnormal person can withstand 20 moves from Yu Shan. Looks like Yu Shan's true strength should be between the early and middle primal core stage." Through the previous move, Ningyu had already roughly estimated Yu Shan's true strength. He was stronger than the average early primal core stage martial artist, but weaker than the average middle primal core stage martial artist. If Yu Shan used his full strength, there were not many martial artists present who could withstand 20 moves from him. Second round, Xikong Ling. Feng Yuan said in a low voice. Swoosh. Hearing this, Xikong Ling gritted his teeth and came in front of Yu Shan. Although he did not have absolute confidence in winning, Xikong Ling did not think of giving up. No matter what, he wanted to see how many moves he could withstand from Yu Shan. Boom! Xikong Ling had just stood in front of Yu Shan when Yu Shan's feet stepped on the ground and his body instantly swept forward. A fist brought with it an extremely violent gust of yuanqi and ruthlessly smashed towards Xikong Ling's chest. Humph! Want to defeat me in one move? Not so easy. With a cold grunt, the yuanqi in Xikong Ling's mind began to churn. In the blink of an eye, a gust of yuanqi that was not weaker than Yu Shan's gathered on his palm and collided with Yu Shan's palm. Pa! Chapter 274. Su Shan's reaction speed is so fast. Ning Yu's heart trembled. He felt that he might have underestimated Su Shan. Just from this reaction speed, Su Shan's soul power had not just reached grade 4, but had long reached grade 4 or even advanced grade 4. His martial cultivation had reached the peak of the true martial realm, and the strength of his soul power had also reached advanced grade 4. Terrifying was the most appropriate word to describe it. Not good. Xikong Ling's expression changed drastically when his fist was caught by Su Shan. Puchi! However, before Xikong Ling could respond, Su Shan raised his right leg and kicked him in the chest. A fishy sweetness came from his throat, causing Xikong Ling to spit out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely pale. Boring. Rubbing his palm, Su Shan said indifferently, "There's not even a single martial artist who can make me use half of my strength." Subsequently, Su Shan's gaze swept across the remaining 7 true martial realm martial artists and arrogantly said, "Weistin Feng, this is too slow. Why don't we fight together in 2 or 3? Su Shan's arrogant performance caused the remaining martial artists to have ugly expressions. No matter how strong you are, you shouldn't be so arrogant, right? Next, Ningyu. Feng Yuanzi acted as if he did not hear Su Shan's words and continued, "Wait." However, just as Ningyu was about to fight, Su Shan waved his hand and said, "Weistin Feng, let Ningyu stay for the last one." Stay for the last one? Why? Feng Yuanzi asked doubtfully. Haha, in my opinion, Ningyu is the strongest among these martial artists. I want to be the last one to fight him. Su Shan smiled. What's your intention? Not only did Su Shan's undisguised praise not make Ningyu happy, it caused his expression to become serious instead. Unless Su Shan knew him, there was no meaning in his actions. Could it be that someone is instructing Su Shan from behind? Ningyu frowned as he thought of this possibility, but very quickly he felt that it was impossible. The only people who were his enemies in the capital were Wen Yi and the Zhang family. He didn't believe that Wen Yi or the Zhang family had the ability to order people from the Sacred Institute around. Sure. Fang Yuan agreed to Yu Shan's request after thinking for a while. From Yu Shan's performance in the previous 2 matches, he was terrifyingly strong. Fang Yuanzi even suspected that Su Shan's strength was comparable to his. If Ningyu was the third to fight Yu Shan, he might not even last 20 moves. Dongfang Ji was very optimistic about Ningyu. He absolutely did not wish to see Ningyu eliminated. Xiao Yu versus Su Shan, Fang Yuan said after thinking for a while. Whoosh! Xiao Yu arrived in front of Yu Shan. Hee, I'll let you have 3 moves first. Looking at Xiao Yu standing before him, Su Shan raised his eyebrows and laughed. Humph. Su Shan's frivolous behavior caused Xiao Yu's expression to turn ugly. Without the slightest hesitation, she immediately dashed towards Yu Shan. Bang! 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 Yu Shan was indeed a man of his word. He said he would let her have 3 moves first. After 3 moves, Yu Shan smirked and threw out his right fist, aiming straight for Xiao Yu's chest. Pervert! Looking at the growing fist in front of her, Xiao Yu clenched her teeth and immediately retreated. However, Yu Shan's speed was obviously much faster than hers. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of her. F***CK. Isn't Yu Shan too much of a pervert? Si Kongling did not say anything when he was defeated by Yu Shan. After all, he was not as skilled as Yu Shan, and saying too much would make others think that he was petty. However, when he saw Yu Shan's perverted behavior, he wanted to immediately charge forward and save the damsel in distress. I admit defeat. Seeing that Yu Shan's fist was about to come into contact with her chest, Xiao Yu hurriedly shouted. It's a little too late to admit defeat now. With an evil smile, Yu Shan's fist turned into a claw and fiercely grabbed at Xiao Yu's chest. At this moment, Yu Shan had transformed into a milk grabber. Yu Shan, you will die a horrible death. Xiao Yu was in despair and slowly closed her eyes. Bang! However, after a few seconds, what Xiao Yu had imagined did not happen. She was still standing in the same spot, unharmed. What's going on? The moment she opened her eyes, Xiao Yu could not help but cry out. This was because a palm appeared in front of her and blocked Yu Shan's perverted hand for her. Step back first. Pulling Xiao Yu behind him, Ningyu said to Yu Shan, she has already admitted defeat. If you continue to attack, it will be a little unreasonable. After all, Xiao Yu had helped him before, although that help seemed completely unnecessary. However, Xiao Yu and Xiao Yunlan's relationship seemed to be quite good, so there was no reason for Ningyu to just stand by and watch. Ning, Ning, Ning. Ningyu, it's you. Looking at the figure in front of her, Xiao Yu even stuttered a little. She did not expect that the person who helped her in her moment of despair was actually Ningyu, the person she looked down upon. This world is too crazy. I want some peace and quiet. This was Xiao Yu's current thoughts. Did she admit defeat? Why didn't I hear it? Shrugging, Yu Shan immediately changed the topic and said coldly, now all I know is that you interfered when I was fighting with Xiao Yu, and this made me very angry. What does your anger have to do with me? Ningyu's anger was also ignited. He said in a low voice, I thought you were so strong, so you're deaf. Yu Shan's face turned cold. He pointed at Ningyu and scolded. Who do you think you are? Originally, I wanted to be the last to fight with you, but since you're looking for death, don't blame me. I just hope that you won't admit defeat later. Towards Yu Shan's threat, Ningyu did not take it to heart at all. Although Yu Shan was strong, he was not weak. If they really fought, Yu Shan would not be able to defeat him within 20 moves. Furthermore, the Yuan Qi in his body was extremely dense. If he continued to fight, he could even defeat Yu Shan. Vice Principal Fang, let me test the strength of this arrogant brat Ningyu in the next battle, Yu Shan said indifferently. Fang Yuanzi was in a difficult position. He was more inclined to let Ningyu be the last to fight. Fang Yuanzi, let Ningyu and Yu Shan fight. I want to see Ningyu's true strength. Dong Fengji was like a roundworm in Feng Yuanzi's stomach. Every time Feng Yuanzi was in a dilemma, he would remind him at the right time. With Dong Fengji's words, Feng Yuanzi no longer hesitated. He said, "Next battle, Ningyu against Yushan. 20 moves." "Ningyu." Xiao Yu bit her lips. She said, "Be careful." "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." Ningyu flashed a warm smile at Xiao Yu and said, "You retreat to the other side first, so that you won't be affected by the fight later." Pa, pa, pa. At this moment, Yushan clapped his hands, took a step forward, and said, "I really admire you. You're still picking up girls at this time. How about I give you a title? Let's call it, how about picking up girls? Ha ha ha." Chapter 275. Ningyu, don't say I didn't give you a chance. After laughing, Yushan said, "I will stand here and take 3 moves from you. After that, I will make my move." Raising an eyebrow, Ningyu said calmly, "Are you sure you will let me have 3 moves and stand still?" Yushan said proudly, "Let alone 3 moves, even if I let you have 10 moves, so what? Do you think you can defeat me?" "I don't need 10 moves, just 3, Ningyu said calmly. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu quietly summoned the phantom armor, which appeared on the surface of his skin. Then, like a flash of lightning, Ningyu disappeared in front of Yushan in the blink of an eye. That's fast. Ningyu's sudden disappearance did not surprise Yushan. Under my powerful soul perception, your speed has no advantage. With a thought, Yushan released his late-stage rank 4 soul power, wanting to find Ningyu's position. Where did he go? However, after using his soul force, Yushan still did not find any trace of Ningyu. Not good. In the next moment, Yushan felt the space in front of him ripple, and a figure appeared in front of him. "Yushan, take my punch." Ningyu raised his right hand, bringing with it a violent Yuan Qi gale, and ruthlessly smashed it towards Yushan's chest. Qi. Ningyu used almost half of his Yuan Qi in this punch. It was very powerful. Damn it. At this point, Yushan could not care so much anymore. He quickly formed a hand seal and pushed his palm out, colliding with Ningyu's fist. Bang! After the attack, Yushan took 3 steps back before he could stabilize himself. As for Ningyu, he also took 3 steps back like Yushan. Standing on the fighting stage, Yushan's face was ashen and bloodless. He did not expect Ningyu to be so powerful. Not only was he fast, but even the essence energy in his body was so dense. Up until now, he still had some lingering fear. If he had followed his original plan of taking on 3 of Ningyu's moves, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Ningyu and Sushan are neck and neck? It's good to see now. Yushan said that he would give Ningyu 3 moves. Give way my ass. If Yushan didn't resist the first move, he would probably be lying on the ground now. Who would have thought that Ningyu's strength has already reached such a level? Even the genius cultivators of the Sacred Institute aren't as strong as him. Don't be so sure. Yushan might be at the bottom of the Sacred Institute. Puff! The whispers in the surroundings caused Yushan to spit out a mouthful of blood. He was ranked 3rd on the Sacred Institute combat rankings. Yet everyone said that he was worthless and that he was the weakest cultivator in the Sacred Institute. The aunt could endure it, but the uncle couldn't. Ningyu! Clenching his fists, Yushan's face was filled with rage. I seem to have heard someone say that he would give me 3 moves. Rubbing his sore wrists, Ningyu said indifferently. In the previous exchange, Ningyu did not gain the slightest advantage. The essence energy in Yushan's body was also very dense. Even if it was not as much as his, it was not much. This was what shocked Ningyu the most. After all, there were 2 illusory gold cores in his body. Could it be Suddenly, Ning Yu's expression changed because he thought of a possibility, a terrifying possibility. The qi whirlpool in Yu Shan's sea of consciousness had also become illusory gold cores. In other words, Yu Shan had most likely advanced to the half-step primal core realm. Facing Yu Shan, who was at the peak of the true martial realm, he could still fight to a draw and even win by relying on the dense essence energy in his body. But facing Yu Shan, who was at the half-step primal core realm, his chances of victory were very slim. Forget it. It doesn't matter if you give me 3 moves or not, I don't care. Ning Yu rolled his eyes and shrugged. Yu Shan's face turned ashen, but he could not lose his temper. After all, he did say that he would give Ning Yu 3 moves. Going back on his words was indeed his fault. I've changed my mind. After 20 moves, I will give you 3 moves, Yu Shan said coldly. Shadowless fist. After shouting, Yu Shan's eyes flashed with a cold light. His body moved, he clenched his fists and suddenly smashed them towards Ning Yu's face. The afterimages of the fists overlapped, as if thousands of fists were smashing down at the same time. Such an imposing manner was clearly the result of mastering the Shadowless Fist to the extreme. Shadowless Fist. Top grade Earth. Rank martial skill. I really did not expect Yu Shan to have mastered the Shadowless Fist to the great success stage. This time, Ning Yu is in danger. The crowd cried out in alarm at the sight of the martial skill Yu Shan had displayed. The Shadowless Fist was a top-grade Earth rank martial skill, and in Yu Shan's hands it could display its greatest power. Shadowless Fist Ha! Faced with Yu Shan's sudden attack, Ning Yu seemed to have long since been prepared. With a few leaps, he left his original spot, then exerted force through his legs and suddenly leapt into the air. Swish! In the air, Ning Yu's hands grabbed at the air. Immediately, a cold light was caught in his hands, and he flung it towards Yu Shan. Overestimating yourself. An ominous glint flashed in Yu Shan's eyes. He clenched his fists tightly, as berserk Yuan Qi wrapped around his wrists like a ghost. In the next instant, he took a step forward, and a hissing sound rang out from under his feet. Immediately, Yu Shan's body was like a ghost, instantly dodging the cold light attack from Ning Yu, and countless afterimages of fists smashed towards Ning Yu's face. Fourth form of the Netherworld, Samsara Palm, Netherworld Tyrant. At this crucial moment, Ning Yu's eyes flashed with a bright light, and he immediately executed the fourth form of the Netherworld Samsara Palm, Netherworld Tyrant Palm. Ning Yu knew that the Shadowless Fist was a top-grade Earth rank martial skill, and in Yu Shan's hands, it could display its greatest power. If he didn't give it his all, the consequences would be unimaginable. Boom! Berserk Yuan Qi, accompanied by countless afterimages of fists, instantly approached Ning Yu. The wind generated from the friction of the air caused Sikong Ling and the rest to take a few steps back, not daring to approach the center of the battlefield. Crack! In the next instant, the one-sided battle that everyone had imagined did not occur. Instead, countless afterimages of fists stood in front of Ning Yu, colliding with Ning Yu's palm and emitting cracking sounds. How is this possible? Everyone in the Dan Wu Plaza widened their eyes as they watched the afterimages of fists being shattered, their faces filled with disbelief. Against the Shadowless Fist, Ning Yu's palm actually managed to gain the upper hand, forcibly shattering the afterimages of fists into pieces. Is this Ning Yu's true strength? Fang Yuanzi looked at the center of the battlefield, his eyes filled with astonishment. If the first move was a draw with Yu Shan was nothing, then the fact that he could gain the upper hand in the second move was enough to prove that Ning Yu's strength was no weaker than Yu Shan's. I admit that I have underestimated you. Seeing that his Shadowless Fist had been shattered, Yu Shan immediately retreated, his feet touching the ground as he floated in the air. Standing in midair, Yu Shan stood with his hands clasped behind his back. You won't be so lucky next. I'll let you know exactly how big the gap between us is. Chapter 276. When the terrifying aura around Yu Shan's body spread out, the eyes of everyone in the Dan Wu Plaza narrowed as raging waves rose in their hearts. Half-step origin core stage. I didn't expect Yu Shan to be a half-step origin core stage expert. This time, Ningyu is in danger. That's right. Ningyu is only at the initial stage of the true martial realm. How can he be a match for a half-step origin core stage martial artist? Yu Shan didn't use his full strength just now. Otherwise, Ningyu would have been defeated long ago. That's right. Now, I'll bet on how many moves, Ning, you can last against Yu Shan. Yu Shan did not take the commotion in the Dan Wu Plaza to heart. He faintly frowned as an ominous glint flashed in his ice-cold eyes. Soon after, his body brought along gusts of wind as he charged towards Ningyu. Swish! Ningyu also burst forth in an instant, his speeding figure seemingly tearing through the air. In an instant, the two figures collided without the slightest intention of dodging. Boom! At the moment of impact, Berserk Yuan Qi abruptly spread out. With the stage as the center, a powerful shockwave continuously swept out in all directions. Crack! The hard floor of the stage was actually shaken by the huge force to the point where a tiny crack appeared, emitting a cracking sound. The two figures separated upon contact, each taking a few steps back before stabilizing themselves. However, from the distance the two had retreated. It was clear that Yu Shan had a slight advantage in this exchange. Interesting. The corners of Yu Shan's mouth rose as a cold light burst forth from his eerie eyes. Soon after, his feet touched the ground as light blue Yuan Qi wrapped around his hands like flames. With a step forward, his body transformed into a gale as he swept forth. This speed was as fast as lightning, drawing the attention of many. Soaring cloud steps. It's actually the soaring cloud steps. Watching Yu Shan's speeding figure, the expressions of the numerous martial artists in the Dan Wu Plaza changed, revealing astonished gazes. What's the soaring cloud steps? Someone asked. You don't even know the flying cloud steps? Listen carefully, I'll tell you. A late-stage Xiantian martial artist explained, soaring cloud steps, a top-grade, earth-ranked movement technique. When executed to the extreme, one's speed is comparable to an early-stage Yuan Dan martial artist. What? Doesn't that mean that even an initial Yuan Dan stage martial artist can't catch up to Yu Shan? That person exclaimed. Whoosh! In the next moment, Yu Shan suddenly appeared in front of Ningyu, his hands instantly blasting towards Ningyu's chest. However, his powerful attack was like a monkey passing right through Ningyu's body. Afterimage? Seeing that his attack had missed, Su Shan narrowed his eyes. Without any hesitation, he turned his fists around and punched in another direction. Bang! A deep voice rang out on the stage as Ningyu suddenly appeared before Yu Shan. His fist, which was filled with violent Yuan energy, had already collided with Yu Shan's fist. You're pretty fast, but in front of absolute power, you have no place to hide. Yu Shan sneered. The tip of his foot tapped the ground as he once again leapt into the air, sending a punch towards Ningyu's head. This punch was extremely powerful. If Ningyu was unlucky enough to be hit, even if he did not die, he would be crippled. As he sensed Yu Shan's formidable attack, Ningyu slightly furrowed his eyebrows before the soul power in his body stealthily appeared on the surface of his palm. In the next instant, violent Yuan energy swept out from his sea of consciousness, completely covering the soul power on Ningyu's palm. Immediately, Ningyu pushed his hands forward as several palm prints immediately appeared, directly slapping towards Yu Shan's fist. Netherworld Samsara palm, Underworld Tyrant palm. At this moment, Ning Yu did not hold back as he executed the underworld tyrant palm to the limit. The first time Ning Yu used the underworld tyrant palm, he did not use his soul power and only used his powerful Yuan energy, which was slightly weaker. This time, he even used his peak grade 4 soul power in order to defeat Yushan in one move. Chi, chi, chi. Several underworld tyrant palm prints struck out, creating a sizzling sound as they rubbed against the air. Pa, pa, pa. 3 consecutive palm prints landed on Yushan's fist, causing Yushan's expression to change drastically as he immediately retreated. However, before Yushan could retreat, a few more palm prints arrived in front of him. Under his shocked gaze, the palm prints slapped towards his cheeks. Pa, pa. A series of crisp sounds rang out as Yushan was slapped, causing him to stagger back several feet. Absolute sword ripple. After gaining the upper hand, Ning Yu did not stop. Instead, he injected the Yuan energy in the golden core into the absolute soul sword and slashed out a shocking sword ripple. Swoosh! The absolute sword ripple was the 5th form of the Supreme 9 Purities sword technique, and it was extremely powerful. Golden core, come out! Facing such a powerful sword ripple, Yushan's expression darkened to the extreme. With a cold glint in his eyes, the golden core in his sea of consciousness flew out and floated above his head. Golden core! Could it be that Yushan isn't a half-step Yuan core realm expert, but a Yuan core realm expert? No, it's a golden core, but it's infinitely close to a real golden core. If Yushan is given some more time, he will definitely break through his limit and advance to the Yuan core realm. Swish! With the golden core out, Yushan's powerful confidence was revealed as he said to Ning Yu, "You can be proud that you forced me to use my golden core." Yushan did not expect Ning Yu to be so powerful that he could force him to use his golden core. In the Sacred Institute, there were no more than 3 experts that could force him to use his golden core. In other words, Ning Yu's strength could already be ranked in the top 5 of the Sacred Institute. Since I've taken someone's money, I'll have to break one of your legs today. A cold glint flashed in Yushan's eyes. Immediately, a powerful ball of Yuan Qi shot out from his golden core. Buzz! The Yuan Qi contained in this ball of Yuan Qi was comparable to a peak true martial realm expert. Explode! Just as the ball of Yuan Qi was about to touch the absolute sword ripple, Yushan shouted. Boom! As Yushan shouted, an earth-shattering explosion rang out, and a terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions from the center of the explosion. Not good. Everyone get out of the fighting ring. Feeling the powerful shockwave of the explosion, Fong Yuanzi shouted, "All martial artists, stay 20 meters away from the fighting ring." Swish! Swish! The surrounding martial artists were not stupid. Almost at the same time when the ball of Yuan Qi exploded, their figures flashed and they frantically ran away. The power of the explosion of the ball of Yuan Qi was similar to the self-destruction of a true martial realm martial artist. Even a half-step Yuan Dan martial artist would not dare to resist the self-destruction of a true martial realm martial artist. Not to mention that the surrounding people were mostly Xiantian and true martial realm martial artists. Ning Yu. On the fighting ring, there were only 4 people who had not left. Yushan, Fong Yuanzi, Xiao Yu, and Xikong Ling. Xiao Yu, we'd better leave the fighting ring quickly, or it will be too late. Although Xikong Ling wanted to help, he knew the gap between him and Ning Yu. If Ning Yu could not resist the power of the explosion, it would be useless for him to go. Chapter 277. But Xiao Yu hesitated. No buts. I'm here to watch over Ning Yu. However, before Xiao Yu could finish a sentence, Fong Yuanzi shouted, "Now you and Xikong Ling leave the fighting ring immediately without any hesitation." As he spoke, Fong Yuanzi released the aura of an early Yuan Dan cultivator. His right hand grabbed at the air, and two cold lights were thrown toward Xiao Yu and Sikong Ling. Bang! Bang! The two cold lights brought with them a strong wind, directly blasting Xiao Yu and Sikong Ling out of the fighting ring. Absolute sword wave. Just as Xiao Yu and Sikong Ling retreated from the fighting ring, a loud shout came from the center of the explosion, and then a shocking sword wave appeared in the air. Qi. This shocking sword wave contained extremely violent yuan qi, so much so that even the surrounding space seemed to be blasted apart. Swoosh! Along with the absolute sword wave, a slightly skinny figure appeared. What? He's not seriously injured? Seeing the young man standing in the air with his hands behind his back, Yu Shan's expression changed drastically, and his eyes revealed a shocked expression. The explosion of the yuan qi light ball was very powerful, and even he did not dare to take it head-on. Ning Yu was only in the early stage of the true martial realm. How could he come out of the center of the explosion unscathed? Humph! So what if he came out? I can still use this kind of yuan qi light ball 3 more times. With a cold snort, Yu Shan's mind moved, and a yuan qi light ball that was not weaker than the one before swept out from the golden Dan, attacking Ningyu. Explode! Oh no! However, just as Yu Shan was about to control the yuan qi light ball to explode, his pupils shrank and his body retreated. This was because he realized that Ningyu had already appeared in front of him with the absolute soul sword in his hand. It's a little too late to react now. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile, and Ningyu's right hand slightly exerted force, and the absolute soul sword stabbed out. In the next moment, the absolute soul sword gradually enlarged in Yu Shan's eyes, and finally, with a poof, it fiercely stabbed into his chest. Puchi! The immense pain from his chest caused Yu Shan to spit out a mouthful of blood. His face was slightly pale. How could Ning Yu give Su Shan another chance after his attack succeeded? He abruptly withdrew the soul-breaking sword, raised his right leg, and ruthlessly swept towards Su Shan's neck. Bang! If Yu Shan had not retreated in time, he would have been hit by Ning Yu's right leg. In his heavily injured state, if Ning Yu's right leg hit his neck, the consequences would be unimaginable. Furthermore, Ning Yu had injected the yuan qi in his sea of consciousness into his right leg in order to achieve victory in one strike. He wanted to completely make Yu Shan lose the ability to fight. However, even though this kick didn't hit Su Shan, it still caused him to gasp. Hua! However, just as Ning Yu was about to attack again, Feng Yuanzi's figure flashed and landed between him and Yu Shan. Seeing this, Ning Yu's eyes narrowed, and he immediately stopped. Feng Yuanzi shouted in a low voice, "Your fight ends here. I declare Ning Yu the winner of this round." Why? Su Shan shouted, "I can still fight. It's not even 20 moves yet." Humph! You know the condition of your body. Feng Yuanzi coldly snorted. Do I need to tell you whether you can last 20 moves or not? The 4th round is to see if Ning Yu can last 20 moves against you. What about now? The question is whether you can last 20 moves against Ning Yu. It's fine if you don't admit defeat, but you can continue fighting. There's no 20 moves limit. Feng Yuanzi was a little angry. He continued, "Life and death are up to fate." Swish! Feng Yuanzi's words made Su Shan's face turn ashen. Feng Yuanzi was right. Now that he was heavily injured, he might not even be able to withstand 3 moves, let alone 20. However, he wasn't willing to admit defeat no matter what. He was ranked 3rd on the Sacred Institute's ranking list. He was unwilling to admit defeat to a martial artist in the early stage of the real martial realm who had not even entered the Sacred Institute yet. Just now, we exchanged a total of 8 moves. There are still 12 moves left. Ning Yu also did not want Su Shan to admit defeat. Someone like Su Shan who molested women should be taught a lesson and let him know what to do and what not to do. There are still 12 moves left. Su Shan, don't tell me you want to give up? Sikong Ling said in a low voice. Humph. He definitely wants to admit defeat. This kind of person only knows how to bully the weak and fear the strong. Xiao Yu said coldly. Puchi. Xiao Yu and Sikong Ling's words made Su Shan spit out a mouthful of blood again. 12 moves, continue. Clenching his fists, Su Shan rose from the ground and rushed towards Ning Yu. Good, straightforward. The corner of Ning Yu's mouth curled up. He stamped his right foot on the ground and dashed forward. Bang! Ning Yu's speed was so fast that Su Shan did not even have time to react before he was hit by Ning Yu's fist. The huge force that came from his chest forced Su Shan to take a few steps back before he could stabilize his body. 9th move. After one move, Ning Yu followed Su Shan and threw out a few more punches. 10th move, 11th move, 19th move. Several punches were launched in succession, all of which landed on Yu Shan's chest while he was caught off guard. Puchi. After being hit by so many punches, Su Shan's breathing became weak and he looked like he was going to collapse. Crack. At the same time in the sealed secret chamber, Wei Zhe looked at the projection on the wall with a pale face and slammed his hand on the chair he was sitting on. Su Shan, this useless piece of trash. Wei Zhe growled in a low voice. It's not that Su Shan is useless. It's that Ning Yu is too strong. Dongfang Ji said calmly, if I'm not wrong, even if you were to face an early primal core martial artist, Ning Yu could still win easily. That's right, the Yuan Qi in Ning Yu's body is already comparable to an early primal core martial artist. Yuan Zhan nodded. If Su Shan had not already fought 3 rounds, how could he have lost to Ning Yu? Wei Zhe snorted. This battle was not fair in the first place. Wei Zhe rolled his eyes and continued. If we want to test Ning Yu's true strength, we should send Gu Tai, who is ranked 2nd on the Sacred Institute power list. Gu Tai. As soon as Wei Zhe finished speaking, Dongfang Ji and Yuan Zhan's eyes narrowed and their faces turned solemn. After a while, Yuan Zhan said slowly, Gu Tai ranked 2nd on the Sacred Institute power list, at the peak of the true martial realm. In the previous true martial ranking, he was ranked 500th. If Gu Tai had not advanced to the half-step primal core realm, his strength should be comparable to the current Su Shan. Dongfang Ji said in a low voice, because at the start none of us knew that Su Shan had actually advanced to the half-step primal core realm. None of us knew? Humph. I already knew that Su Shan had advanced to the half-step primal core realm. Wei Zhe snorted. Not only has Su Shan advanced to the half-step primal core realm, even Gu Tai has advanced to the half-step primal core realm. Gu Tai's strength is much stronger than Su Shan's. Not long ago, the two of them sparred. At that time, Gu Tai defeated Su Shan in 3 moves. Chapter 278. Bang! When Ning Yu's last punch landed, Yu Shan's body was like a kite with a broken string. Under everyone's gaze, he fell straight off the fighting ring. Yu Shan's defeat caused the entire Danwu Plaza to fall completely silent. This kind of silence was suffocating. Whoosh! However, this kind of silence did not last for long before it was broken by a clamor. Many martial artists were discussing it with each other in shock. Yu Shan actually lost to Ning Yu. Isn't this too unbelievable? What's so unbelievable about it? From the moment Ning Yu blocked the explosion of the Origin Chi light ball, I knew that Ning Yu would definitely win. Hindsight, who was the one who started a bet on how many moves Ning Yu could take from Yu Shan? No matter what, after today, Ning Yu's name will resound in the capital. He will become a household name. The discussions that reached his ears made Yu Shan's face turn ashen. When he came, he was full of confidence. He did not take these true martial realm martial artists seriously at all. In his opinion, with his cultivation at the peak of the true martial realm and his strength as the 3rd on the Sacred Institute's combat list, how could he lose? However, the reality was cruel. Not only did he lose, but he lost completely. If not for Ning Yu holding back, he would have been blasted into smithereens. Gulp! In the air above the fighting ring, Fong Yuanzi could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva, although he had already guessed this outcome. When the moment came, Fong Yuanzi still could not believe what had happened in front of him. What kind of freak was Ning Yu? He had defeated Yu Shan, who was at the peak of the true martial realm, with his cultivation at the early stage of the true martial realm. Most importantly, he still had strength left. This was the most terrifying thing. His strength and talent are even more abnormal than Zhang Tianwen's. In an instant, this thought appeared in Fong Yuanzi's mind. Soon, this thought was killed in the cradle, because those who had not seen Zhang Tianwen could not imagine how abnormal he was. Not long ago, Zhang Tianwen, who was at the late stage of the true martial realm, had sparred with Wei Zhe. 3 moves. Zhang Tianwen had endured an entire 3 moves from Wei Zhe before being defeated. It must be known that Wei Zhe was a mid-primal core adept, and to be able to withstand 3 blows from a mid-primal core adept was enough to show how abnormal Zhang Tianwen was. At that time, Zhang Tianwen was only in the late stage of the true martial realm. Now, Zhang Tianwen was in closed-door training, and once he came out, it was very likely that he would advance to the peak of the true martial realm. One could imagine how abnormal Zhang Tianwen's strength was when he was at the peak of the true martial realm. Dean Fong, I wonder if I've passed the test this time? Just as Fong Yuanzi was in a daze, Ning Yu's voice rang in his ear. If I pass, can I take a break? Pass, it counts as a pass. Fong Yuanzi quickly regained his senses and said, Since that's the case, I'll go first. However, before Ning Yu could finish his sentence, a swiftly approaching figure landed on the stage in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! When he saw the sudden appearance of this figure, Ning Yu's pupil shrank, revealing a horrified expression. He could sense an extremely terrifying aura from this figure. Yuan Dan stage. The martial artist in front of him was at least at the Yuan Dan stage, and could even be at the mid-primal core stage. Elder Wei. Ning Yu did not recognize the martial artist who had suddenly appeared, but Fong Yuanzi did. Fong Yuanzi flew down from the air and said in a low voice, May I know what business you have here? Humph! A mere deputy dean dares to speak to me in such a manner. Wei Zhe was clearly dissatisfied with Fong Yuanzi's tone, and coldly snorted. If this wasn't the Sacred Institute's recruitment, I would definitely teach you a lesson. Buzz, buzz! As Wei Zhe's words rang out, another 2 figures tore through the air and steadily landed between Wei Zhe and Fong Yuanzi. Wei Zhe, Fong Yuanzi is the host of the Sacred Institute's recruitment this time. Isn't it a little inappropriate for you to interfere in this matter? Dongfang Ji said indifferently. The Sacred Institute's recruitment rules have long been set and cannot be changed by you. Dongfang Ji, don't use whatever rules to suppress me. Wei Zhe said coldly, Rules are dead, but people are alive. Now that Yu Shan has been defeated, the remaining battles naturally have to be replaced. As he spoke, Wei Zhe flicked his sleeves, and a martial artist immediately appeared at the end of the Danwu Plaza. This martial artist was around 25 years old, with a square face, short hair, and a few sword scars on his cheeks. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, this martial artist landed on the fighting stage. Dean Dongfang, Elder Wei, Elder Yuan, and Deputy Dean Fong. After this martial artist appeared, he cupped his fists and greeted everyone. Gu Tai, what are you doing here? Dongfang Ji immediately realized that something was wrong when he saw Gu Tai and shouted in a low voice. Replying to Dean Dongfang, Elder Wei asked me to come over. Gu Tai replied with a calm expression in the face of Dongfang Ji's rebuke. Dongfang Ji, I don't wish to say anything unnecessary. I only have one request, and that is to let Ning Yu and Gu Tai fight. Wei Zhe said gloomily, As long as Ning Yu can defeat Gu Tai, I won't interfere with anything he does in the Sacred Institute in the future. From Gu Tai, Ning Yu sensed an aura that was not weaker than Yushan's. In other words, Gu Tai was stronger than Yushan, and not just by a little bit. Who is Gu Tai? Ning Yu knew that Yushan's ranking in the Sacred Institute would not be too low, but he did not know anything about Gu Tai. It could be said that he knew nothing about him. Gu Tai ranked second on the Sacred Institute's combat roll. Right at this moment, Ouyang Yuan quietly appeared behind Ning Yu and explained, "In the Sacred Institute, there are only 2 martial artists who can firmly suppress him. One is Gue Li, ranked first on the Sacred Institute's combat roll." "What about the other one?" Ning Yu asked doubtfully. Gu Tai was ranked second on the Sacred Institute's combat roll. It was understandable that the ranked first on the Sacred Institute's combat roll could suppress him. But who was the second martial artist who could firmly suppress him? Taking a deep breath, Ouyang Yuan said in a deep voice, "Zhang Tianwen." Zhang Tianwen is the second expert who can firmly suppress Gu Tai. Zhang Tianwen. Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat, feeling a little incredulous. In the Sacred Institute, Zhang Tianwen is a special existence. The Sacred Institute's combat roll does not have him. Ouyang Yuan said with a solemn look in his eyes. "Why?" Ning Yu asked. "Because Zhang Tianwen is a core disciple and has a core quota." Ouyang Yuan said solemnly, "Any martial artist who can obtain a core quota will enjoy treatment that surpasses the Sacred Institute's combat roll, and will not enter the Sacred Institute's combat roll." It is said that there are a total of 3 core quotas, and Zhang Tianwen obtained one. As for the other 2, I do not know. Suddenly, Ouyang Yuan seemed to think of something and continued, "Dan Yu, who made it to the 8th floor of the Ivory Tower, should be able to obtain a core quota if he enters the Sacred Institute." You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.